they start playing. So right now, there's this forum that I was a part of, and without disclosing any names, since live stream and all of that, the forum has a certain ideological problem with a small minority of people that are very ideological driven, and they bring a lot of toxicity. And you know how usually administrators might say, yeah, but both sides, or let's approach this from a rational standpoint. The problem is not that these people advance a certain ideology. Here's the thing: the forum has nothing to do with ideology itself. And there's a lot of ideology that I do agree with. So you could say it's just a partisan effort. The problem with the belligerents, so to speak, is that they will try to put things down with downvote manipulation, with comments, with multiple fake accounts, sock puppets. And they will never say, I don't like this because this supports this ideology, or this is against my ideology in some way. They always say that the thing itself is bad.
Greater good. Greater good. They repeat it like a mantra. Of course it's gonna press you, but it's for the greater good, and by greater good we mean for women. You look that politics will never say, oh yeah, we favor women. They'll say, we favor family. And what is the progenitor of a family?
Woman.
You can literally not have a family without a woman. So by saying that you are helping families, you are directly targeting women without saying the actual word, making you free from libel, defamation.
If you dig, you will always find the same critical theory underneath. For example, okay, but what about the men? And then they'll at some point, like the more cards you pull out of their head, at some point they're gonna have to give you the response that, well, men don't need this because they are privileged. Like,
yep.
Maybe they don't say that up front, but the more you dig, at some point they are forced to show their hand, and they will say, have this already. What do they have? Well, they have privilege. It's just like, they're not even gonna point to something concrete. They're just gonna say they have privilege. That's what it always boils down to.
Yeah.
It's just a social science bullshit.
Totally. Oh, by the way, we're now live. So if you want to introduce yourself, just so that people have an idea of who I'm talking to, you don't have to use a real name. Just like if you want to do an intro or something.
Yeah, I am. I'm Stan. My name is Stan. Stanley. Kubrick. Just kidding.
Sweet.
I'm Sarge.
I'm gonna put a link to. You'll give me an invite code to your server, and I'll put it in my video title description.
Sure, I can do that.
I won't do it now because I'm killing monsters, but as soon as I'm out of this sewer, I will.
Okay, so let's generate the link. Copy the link, and I'm sending it to you.
If you make it disappear after a day, it probably won't be useful though.
I know. I already did that it's never expiring.
Yeah, you're the one who teach me the most about Discord, so I'm pretty sure you know it. But it's the kind of mistake I'd still make.
I've seen it. A lot of people make that mistake, actually.
Yeah, some people do it on purpose. Like, I joined a MGTOW channel on Casual Bachelor's channel, and he always makes sure that his link only stays up for 24 hours, so that people who try to come back and like hunt his video won't have access to it.
I like that. That's clever. OPSEC.
Yep. All right.
So I think a big problem is like this. You can always revert to. You can always pretend, and that's the thing. I'm not totalitarian. I'm not saying. I completely disagree with some viewpoints, and if I were a dictator, I would remove that from society.
Japan did it. Trump tried it. We were banning race critical theory and gender critical theory from university. Japan did it. Poland did it. USA did it.
Hungary didn't ban it, but defunded it.
Yeah, literally, if you go in university, you must prove that your program will make out citizens that are more productive than when you send them into the university. So literally, race critical theory and gender critical theory were banned because as people come out of it, they're less functioning citizens. that
That
was
is good.
the
It makes
mentality
people less
behind their man.
neurotic. Yeah.
And I am totally in favor of it. Don't get me wrong. If like
Um,
people who came out of feminist study were like going into enterprise and making sure women were more efficient and like actually solving real problem, I'd be like, yeah, for sure. Why not? Like if people want to do this, why not? Yeah. But like
the
people who,
problem is,
yeah,
um, look. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Let's not. I think Orban's way is the best because it's very good in terms of optics. Because what I mean, it has been presented as if he had banned things, which was bad optics. But if you get down to it, it's much more easy to. Let's say you. Okay. Let me reach a little bit. Let's assume that you live in a sort of democracy, in a political system where you have a lot of checks and balances, and you have the opposition has many means to get rid of something that you try to pass. Okay,
unlike Canada.
so if you say we're gonna, I don't know, maybe in Canada,
Oh, it was my
and then
personal opinion. Sorry, go on.
so let's assume that then you say we're gonna ban this topic on the basis of these metrics. First of all, these metrics, they might say these are not valid metrics, or they might fudge up the metrics or fake the metrics. They might say, no, banning is actually against our constitution, so we're gonna get rid of it like this. But what Orban did, and I'm not sure if Orban even needed to do that, but what Orban did is way more fail-safe. He says, we're going to defund this.
Yep.
And yeah, you still have to argue for it and maybe produce metrics or something. And I'm sure Orban didn't even do that himself, but had somebody produce that stuff for him. But the thing is, it is more fail-safe because he says, no, I'm not banning it. There's not such a huge legal precedence for you to attack this bill or whatever, however it works over there.
People can
Because
still
I'm just
do it with their own money, basically.
Exactly. So there's less vector of attack vectors to get rid of that. And the thing is, and I think that is very sensible because these are courses, like even on a more philosophical level, not a legal level. These are courses that basically indoctrinate. Okay, and fine, if you want to breed out NPCs, it's fine, but not by using taxpayer money.
Public money, yep.
You're not gonna abuse the system. You're not gonna abuse your host, which is the system paid for by citizens, okay, by taxes. You're not gonna use that against the people. No, that is wrong. That is not just wrong. That is extremely fucking sick. Like using taxpayer money to fund Wikipedia edit marathons.
Or painting Black Lives Matter on the street.
Or what?
Painting Black Lives Matter on the street, painting political message through fund-grounded method on public property. Oh, I'm not in.
And then they say this is not political. This is the bare minimum. This is just human decency. No, fuck you. It is political. It is political.
Yes, it is, and especially you're using tax money to fund something that is actively discriminating against some genders.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah, of course.
So I find it even worse. Imagine if we were making like public funded Mecto classes, how much they would be screeching.
Holy shit, they would burn things. We know what they would do.
Yeah. Anything the feminists did to have the vote, if men did the same, we'd be considered terrorists and killed on the spot.
Yeah, of course.
Which is my big problem with women voting, because I don't mind women voting. The more citizens are involved in your civic process, the better it is. But if you give some people the same civic powers without giving them the same civic duties, you disenfranchise one group, which is in this case men.
Devalue the meaning of citizenship for ours.
Yeah, well, you're basically oppressing one class to the benefit of the other class. And just to be fair, women were under the same oppression before they had the vote. But they didn't have the draft, but we could have given them the draft and the vote, and then most of the problem we live here wouldn't be.
Of course.
And most of the women said no to the draft. Like, we'd rather not vote than have the draft. But that's a conversation they're not ready to have.
Of course not. They're only going to join the draft once more positions like, okay, office positions in the military open up, when more warfare gets automated via, remote control and signal intelligence. Maybe then they would be interested in that, but that's not fair. That is just
There
gambling.
was before women were accorded the vote in the United States. There were one state where they could vote because the state had said that in order to vote, you must be a property owner. So women who owned the property were legally allowed to vote.
Yeah, that's facts. I know. Yeah, there
So
were just
like,
fewer women that were property owners.
yeah, but not all the men did get to vote. Why do feminists then say that men were oppressed because all the men had the vote and not the women, when there were instances where the men who fulfilled the same women who fulfilled the same criterion as men did get the vote?
That's correct. And women could go to college as well. It's just societal expectations.
Yeah, in a way. And also,
And they
like,
make
why
sense.
do you go to college? To get a better job. And if your role is to find a guy to marry and that will pay for everything for you, why go to college? You're spending public
I,
resources on getting
I was
married?
thinking today about this one thing, how a certain person that I know came to my mind, and I was like, from that I could like discern the blueprint for behavior of many feminists today. Many feminists that you do not even call themselves that. And that is the idea that an act of defiance towards men is inherently good.
Yes.
So, and I got an anecdote for that. I used to have this one friend. We used to hang out when we were teenagers. Sometimes I would stay at his place. Sometimes he would stay at mine. And, we were at his place, and his whole family was there. And I showed them this card trick where you can count your card. You shuffle cards and you count cards, not openly. And by that, you can find the person's card. After shuffling it 3 times, you still find their card. It's pretty cool of a trick. And the mother was watching that as I was like showing the trick multiple times to the daughter, and she was like mind blown. And then the mother, with her like very stubborn idea, was like, you know what? He doesn't even really find your card. The trick is to show your card and say, "Is this your card?" and then expect you to say yes. And then you say yes, and it's like the trick has worked. Which of course makes no sense, because if it's not your card and I say, "Is this your card?" you're always free to just say no. So if I show your card and say, "Is this your card?" you don't have to say yes. You just say yes if it is your card. And she's like, "No. Just when he shows you the card next time and says, 'Is this your card?' you're just gonna say no." Show her the card. It's like, "Is this your card?" And it was her card. You see, she was confused because she was in a dilemma. She wanted to say yes because it was her card, but her mom was in her neck saying, "Say no. That's how you dismantle this trick." He's like, um, "No," and I'm like, "No, forget what your mom said. Like, is this your card?" And her mom is like, "Just say no. Just say no." She's like, "No, no, it's not my card." Okay, I finished the trick. I say, "Okay, maybe I didn't find it." And I'm like, "Okay, now honestly, was it your card?" And she's like, "Yeah, it was." And it's like the same thing. It's not about critiquing when a man does something obviously wrong or says something obviously wrong. We're not going back to the 1600s where it's like you can't ever critique a man or whatever. Whenever, if that ever existed, we're not going back to that time. We're just saying, you can criticize a man or scrutinize statements or actions, but just doing it on purpose, on default, saying bad, I'm gonna oppose you, I'm gonna be snarky, I'm gonna use any form of defiance to you that I can. This is good, this is feminist. Like, what is this shit? Just on baseline, just define man, just take power away from man, even if it's legitimate. I feel like this is their playbook.
Yeah, it is.
Teach girls that it's good to defy man.
That it's good to destroy a man's life without any proof or evidence. And beside, even if you lied, the system won't hold it against you. So why not lie? You won't get
We saw
anything
that with
wrong.
Kavanaugh case.
Exactly. And do you think they're going to do the same thing to the next judge they appoint? If you had
No,
to
because
take a
Trump said
bet?
he's gonna take a woman this time. So
Yeah, but do you think they're still not going to accuse her of being how do they call it? Internalized misogyny.
definitely.
Like, if they were ready to say all those things about Kavanaugh, they'll say the same thing about a woman.
Just in a different form, yeah. I
Oh,
think so.
they'll go onto her anti-abortion state and say that she's a threat to all women everywhere, and she's just like enforcing patriarchy because she's gaining from it. Yeah,
They're gonna revoke her woman card.
they don't need an actual accusation against her. They'll just make one up like they did against Justice Kavanaugh.
Hmm. I
And
think that's
that
true, yeah.
sucks, but we all know that's what's gonna happen.
Funny because I live in Europe and I mentioned the Kavanaugh case when it was
Oh
still
yeah,
fresh.
that's true. You live in Europe. I always think you're an American.
Uh, I'm not,
Uh,
thankfully, because there it's going crazy right
are
now.
you from Germany?
Um, let's not disclose this.
Okay, yeah, you're
And
right. We're live. We shouldn't.
and I talked to my friends and I was like, yeah, Kavanaugh or something. I'm not even sure if I mentioned Kavanaugh by name, and it was fresh. It was all over the U.S. media, and somehow they knew about this because they saw a TV segment in Europe, and they were like, "Yeah, but," and my friends are not feminists, far from it. They were like, "Yeah, but that guy's a rapist."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
If the
"Like
mainstream
what?"
media say it, of course they wouldn't lie to us. They're the mainstream media. They're liable to, how do you say, when someone lies and they'll get consequences for lying. There's a word specific. I think it's
Liable,
liable. Yeah,
actually.
yeah, it is. They're liable to the truth. So if they lie, they'll get some like backlash or some punishment. So of course they won't lie. That
That's how
is,
everybody views it. Yeah.
yes, it is. And it will take about a generation or two before it changes. So it's only going to get worse for the next 10, 15 years, and then the momentum's going to start swinging back. But TFM said it pretty clearly. Momentum never goes further right than it left from. The momentum is always swinging left until we shoot our way out of it,
True.
which
There's
I
this
do
law.
not like. But like, it's
There's
not
this
because I don't like it that it's not reality.
there's this principle. I don't remember. I heard Mr.
Phyllis's
Medicine bring it up.
trap, I think. I'm my bet, but go ahead.
Yeah, mention what it says. Maybe it is that.
But keep explaining before I try to guess it before you give the question.
Okay, yeah, fair. So it basically says that any this is not exactly the same thing, but I feel like it draws on a parallel line from a parallel line, and it basically says any organization, and you can have that mean an institution, you can have that mean a community, you can have that mean any body
Of
people.
power and influence. A country, a province, a
Not
city.
necessarily. More generic like than that. Like any organization. Doesn't even have to be an official organization. It could just be a community, a group of friends.
A
But it
mindset.
has to be like
Anyone who believes in feminism.
no. How do I put this? Anytime people come together under a certain banner as a group, okay? Any group that, and I'm not talking just about friends group. I am kind of talking about organization. Sorry for scrambling it up a little bit, but any
Yeah, that's fine.
organization that is not explicitly right wing will turn left wing over time.
Yes. Unless they have like right wing points in their own organizational papers, if you want. Like, the United States has a constitution, so it resisted the left push longer because a constitution were providing some right-wing points, if you will, and therefore getting away from those right-wing points were harder because it would infringe their original base. But even there, it's only a matter of seconds before, I mean, a matter of time before it change. It's not a when it'll change. You know, it's not a if it'll change. It's a when it will change.
Matter of finessing your way out of it as a left winger.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretending you're right wing, or pretending you're for something.
What we call a chameleon tradcon or trad thought. Like Lauren Southern is the perfect example for that. Tommy Lauren, she called herself a trad girl, but whenever the mask slipped, you see that she was actually another feminist in disguise. Did I lose you? Sure sounds like it. Hello. Oh, maybe your headset broke or discharge. Anywho, you'll be back in time. We should have the guest back soon. He had some connection issues. Oh yeah, this is the bridged part. It used to be the place that led to the sewer. Yes, but it got flooded. Okay. We could probably go to the map and see some...
I'm back, I think. Can you hear me?
Yes, you are! Hello!
Beautiful. Now I have way better connection.
Great!
Fantastic. You know, as we were saying, I think before the stream started, they will say so this. They will feminize everything, right? And they will of course use a pretext like family, whatever, something that is easy to agree on.
Oh,
And
just
as
a
I
woman's
said,
condition. We have to enslave men because of women's condition. Oh yeah, makes sense. In the name of equality, greater good.
to free women we have to enslave men, but they're never gonna say that. But the thing is, the front is solid. It looks solid. You know how like a paper wall, a paper, sorry, what do you call that? Like a paper
Cardboard?
front, and it looks like it has bricks drawn onto it, so it looks very solid. But it's not bricks; it's just paper. And behind that is like a couple of those where they pretend to have a point, they pretend to care about a point that is rational, but they never care about rationality or the greater public. They never do. Um, it's usually that they have their own personal interest, ideological interest, and they think it supersedes the will of the people. That's how they always act. That's how you can tell that they're influenced by communist thought or totalitarianism. Um, and they put up this front just for the public. That's all. That's all it's for. And when you dig, and then you say, okay, how? Wait, you make these points that, let's say, for example, discrimination against men in a university and academic setting, and they have they make some points on the surface, okay? Whether like, okay, this is because women have this, because men this, because women that. They use some statistics. You debunk the statistics. You go one layer deeper and say, yeah, but this, but that.
Like
I'm
Jordan
sorry for my
Peterson
lack of.
did on the talk show with the girl, I don't remember, Kathy Newman, I think.
Hmm.
Like what you're
Can you
talking is
elaborate?
you were saying like feminists would use some talking point, and then you'll dig deeper and say, no, you need to do a multivariable analysis. You cannot say women good, men bad. You have to look further. Like, is this really a male trait, and why is this male trait bad? Are you looking at it in a small condition where that trait is male, but in the greater scheme of things, that trait ain't negative?
Yes, exactly. I
But
mean, you can
then,
use deeper thinking like the good doctor does, but you can also just use statistics if they use statistics. But in some way, you debunk them.
yes,
And
on
eventually, they throw up another front. But that's based on this data, and we have also this argument and that argument. And as you go through them, if you have the courage and the energy to do that, eventually they'll just say, yeah, but men have this privilege. It always ends there.
they won't say have this privilege. They'll say men have privilege in a vague enough way that you cannot disprove it. you'll
Yes,
have to
exactly.
start arguing with them on what the privilege is, and by that time they'll start resorting to name calling. And
Yes,
they only have to say
exactly.
white
Oh,
supremacist, rapist, and that's it. Your reputation gone. All your words are meaningless. And anyone who'd agree with you would be against women and pro rape.
exactly. Exactly. That's how they deal with their enemies. They have a huge arm in the media that does that for them. So they will just not have this conversation. And the thing is that you can really tell that how unscientific it is because it's unfalsifiable. And
Yep.
that is like the opposite of the scientific approach where something has to be falsifiable, and if it still comes out as valid, then you know you got a result in your hand, especially if you can replicate it with different methods. But if it's unfalsifiable, it's not scientific. It's made up.
They like to call it the cathedral when referring to the SGW. And
Hmm.
the cathedral believes in male supremacy, the male advantage, the same way Christian believes about God.
Yeah, they do, and
We
it's
believe in
funny
this,
because
and everything stems from there. Like God created the
I
world,
personally,
so everything is in its
I'm a
image.
Christian, right?
Yeah.
I'm a Christian, and I take care to never mix my religious belief with my rational arguments
Yes.
because, and I'm never going to have this conversation with somebody proving or disproving God because I'm like, you know what, my belief in God is irrational. To me it makes perfect sense, to you it might not, but I do not use objective arguments to believe in God. So no, I will not try to prove it to you, and I will leave you with your position. You can have it because I make a sharp distinction between my irrational beliefs and my rational beliefs. But they mix them, and
Yeah.
that's horrible.
The, dealing with them is the same as dealing with some fanatic Christian. God said that, you're not doing that, you are wrong, whatever I do to you is justified.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not.
Except they also try to justify it in a rational way, which
Yep,
is even
exactly.
more disgusting.
There was a saying by one of my heroes or great admired people, Edward D. Deming said, "In God we trust, all other must bring data."
Yeah, that's very cool. Exactly, exactly. Have your irrational beliefs, but don't mix them into a rational conversation. Which is fine with
Especially
something I
not
don't like,
into the society structure of law.
law, which is a rational conversation to have. You can
Yes.
bring that into morality if there is a look, if we have common ground and I use God, but we have a common ground and God fits into that common ground, I can definitely use religion as a marker of morality. But if you are atheist, completely disagreeing with the existence of God and even disagreeing with the morality of the Bible, I cannot invoke religion in a conversation even about moral,
That sounds a
right?
bit like RBG's using her dying wish for Trump not to appoint a new Supreme Court. It's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
dying wish is not legally binding, madam.
Exactly. And especially laws are, to me it's just this hierarchy, okay, and that is morals, ethics, laws are first and foremost based on ethics, which are derived from morals. But if we disagree on morals and we don't, because
Oh,
of
you see,
some
I'd see it the
irrational
other way
beliefs.
around. I'd see the hierarchy on the other
Hmm.
side. Ethics come first, moral comes second, and law comes third. I see
But
it the exact
I
opposite
disagree.
way of you, but keep on explaining how you see it. I'll explain why see it that way afterwards, and we'll talk then.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Um, okay, so morals is what we think is good, but ethics are concerned with the pragmatic application of morals because moral questions are whether some. Okay, let me put it like this. Let me try to find an example. Okay,
Sure.
okay. So lying is bad. That's a moral position. But lying because otherwise you would create a lot of hurt and damage is ethical. You see, it's ethical. It's not moral. It's ethical
To
because it
lie?
prevents pragmatic damage.
Okay, so if you're lying and your lie will cause less damage than you are preventing, the lie becomes ethical, although it's still not moral, you are saying, right? Or it is moral, but it is not ethical, actually. But I agree on the part that ethics are the I think ethics is the philosophical rationality behind acts, and moral is the pragmatic application, and law is the societal enforcement of morals. Your connection probably dropped. Let's revive you. Oh, can't be revived. Sad life. Oh, too much clutter. All right.
I'm sorry, I disconnected.
Oh, it's fine.
Right. Could you please repeat that for me? So if you lie to prevent damage,
Yeah,
that's where.
if the lie causes less damage than it will prevent, it is considered moral or ethic. That's where I want you to define whether you find that making something that is bad, but doing that
God,
bad thing.
my connection's just so fucking.
All right, well, tell me when you're more stable. Are you using Google Chrome? You. Well, at least I have tons of max life and resist, so me. What is this used for? Fire and cold resist. Ooh, this is great. Useless. Oh, a lot of spell damage. And it's a triple blue link. 21 spell damage. Ooh. Bloop bloop bloop. Herald of Thunder. Arc.
All right, let's try to finish this one segment, and I cannot promise you that my connection's gonna hold up for much longer than that, but let's hope. So yeah, go on.
Okay, so you go on with your lie theory, because I'm not sure if you meant that lying in order to prevent a greater evil is ethic or moral.
Right. So I think moral has to do with individual level being morally upstanding, but ethics have societal implication. It is more pragmatic in the sense that it's not about idealism, but about results. I think that's the difference. But still, I think ethics are based on morals. They're like a compromise between society functioning and individuals upholding moral law, not ethic law, not legal
I've learned
legalistic,
the
but
opposite in
moral law in the
class.
sense of adhering to the philosophy that yields the first outcome.
I've
Okay,
always learned that ethic
that's my
was the
perspective.
philosophical one and moral was the compromise one. Also, ethic should be universal while moral is limited to a small group. And therefore the laws they come stems from the morals because it's that group deciding to apply that law within itself. Well, seems like I'll be back to loneliness for a while. lost my friend for now. But he'll be back at some point, I'm sure. Guess we'll start listening to Timcast. Timcast IRL. Usually have some very interesting stuff. Oh.
I had a really long conversation with my friend the other day. It was really interesting. And I said, I think what we're seeing is...
Oh no, it's still the remnants of the other thing. The one from yesterday is not available. Sad life. Sad life. Alright. Let's just listen to more of Timcast's video. Oh wait, it is available. I was just on Timcast instead of Timcast IRL. Alright, people. I'll skip the intro because they're talking mostly about their...
Is this any better?
Shut his defense down.
Yep, but you can raise all the bail money turned on him. It's going great. I'm psyched.
And now we're
All right.
going to go to like...
Just so people can catch up, Timcast has Cassandra Fairbanks as a guest. He's in his new studio, so the sound isn't as good. I skipped the first 15 minutes because that's what he explained in 15 minutes. Let's go, Tim.
More sad news, and we'll talk about a lot of this Antifa stuff. So, all right, we'll just try and get back on track, I guess. Thanks for hanging out. Smash the like button again because we're working very hard in real time. You're watching us, and joining me, of course, is Cassandra Fairbanks, not for the 5th time. And let's talk about the first story, man. Jake Gardner.
This is a sad one. Actually, I cover heartbreaking things every day. Like, I cover terrible things and tragedy and things that really upset me, but this one hit me in, like, a completely different way. I mean, I was sobbing while I wrote it.
I'm going to get really angry as we talk about this, just so you know. Jake Gardner was a small business owner. The businesses nearby his bar were attacked. His dad, I guess, was telling the guys, like, back off and, like, shoved one of them or something. And then there's video of all this. The dude runs up and just decks Gardner's dad.
A 70-year-old man.
70-year-old man. So Gardner shows that he's got a weapon. These guys start walking towards him. And you of course, you've seen one of the videos where you can hear the audio.
Yeah.
And he's saying, don't do it, right? He's like, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. He's backing up, retreating. And they attack him. They attack him. They knock him into the ground. He fell in water, I think, right? He fell into like a puddle in the street.
Yeah.
And then this guy, I think his name is James Skurlock, correct?
Yes.
Jumps on his back with his arm around his neck. Gardner had already warned them several times. He fired 2 warning shots. 2 guys run off. Dude jumps on his back. And then he switches the gun to his left hand, reaches over and fires, shooting the dude in the clavicle, killing him. They took everything from this guy. So
Everything.
Just like to elaborate on the details because you've been talking to his friends and stuff.
Yeah.
So he lost his business. He lost his everything.
His apartment. I mean, everything. Everything.
His life.
I mean, friends turned on him. His whole life was uprooted, you know? I mean, acquaintances, people that he knew, like people who went to his bar, people who worked at his bar, all these people were coming out against him, and it was really sad because it was so clear that it was self-defense. And
why he got indicted?
Yeah, well, the district attorney originally said that this is self-defense. It's clear cut. You know, he didn't do anything wrong. And then protesters started showing up at the district attorney's house. They were threatening to riot. It was a disaster, and so the city caved in, and they hired a special prosecutor. He decided to bring it before a grand jury, came up with 4 charges. I think the maximum he was going to face was 95 years.
And then the day he was supposed to turn himself in, they found him reportedly with a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Yeah, and 20 minutes from Portland.
What was he doing on the West Coast?
Well, he had lost everything, so I've heard that he was staying with his uncle out on the West Coast.
That's crazy. Yeah. So the landlord kicked him out. Yeah. I hope that landlord never rents that property again.
And the landlord for the bar where he was or the building.
That's what I
mean,
leasing,
yeah. But his apartment too.
He got kicked out of his apartment?
Yeah.
Wow.
He got kicked out of his apartment for defending himself.
Yep, but you can raise all the bail money you want for rioters.
Kamala Harris can ask for bail money for the rioters.
Yeah.
This is why we're in the middle of nowhere and why we actually struggled to get the stream going today and why Ian can't talk and why Lydia can't talk either because the mics aren't working.
I think my mic's working.
You think it's working?
I think so, yeah.
It is.
Sure?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think... Here, talk.
Hi. Hey, everybody. I finally get a chance to say something.
Oh.
What's up? Hey, you can manhandle that mic. You can, like, pull it forward and
All
turn
right,
it.
all right, all right.
You're going right at it.
I think your mic is working.
Hey.
People are like, Ian, we can hear you.
Okay, enough.
But we can't hear ourselves. Okay. Anyway, I'm like, we're past all of that. We're in the middle of nowhere. We're in the middle of nowhere because this is not the first time we saw a story of someone being attacked by the
I'm
mob.
moving in the middle of nowhere as well.
And this is the craziest thing. This dude was retreating, backing away. Don't do it. And then he fired warning shots. He clearly did not want to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
The craziest thing about the indictment of this guy is that they claimed that it was the use of a firearm while committing a felony, and the felony was terroristic threats. And the terroristic threats were him saying, don't do it, back away.
Yeah.
Yep,
He was
that would be a fun
on fire
future.
patrol, like making sure that his building didn't burn down.
Yep.
Like, what planet are we on? What country are we in?
This happened to you.
Yeah.
They came to your house.
Mm-hmm.
And then their allies in media desperately tried to claim you made it up.
Yeah, they ran cover for the people who came to my house. They were like, oh, they just shot fireworks down the street. Like, you know where I lived.
Yep.
I was not in downtown. I wasn't in a very city area.
Relative to this.
Well,
we're
relative to
gone.
this, yes.
Like, we're in the mountains now.
But, I mean, they claimed to have talked to my neighbors, said that it didn't happen. When, in reality, like, Alan Bakari from Breitbart and my boyfriend went and talked to my neighbors, and they were like, no, we didn't talk to
He made it up.
any right-wing outlet, or any right-wing
Right-wing watch.
And they were like, no, we like you. Like, we came to your Halloween party. Why would we trash you?
Yeah.
And they were the only house with a BLM sign in their window. So it was like, you made up this entire story to run cover for people who just terrorized my child.
To specify what exactly happened, I know a little bit about it.
So I was trolling pretty hard on Twitter, admittedly. I went pretty hard during the riots. And the night that they burnt down the church in in D.C., people had posted my address and my phone number, and they were threatening to come to my house. They were threatening me. They were threatening my child. And I was pretty nervous about it, but I had gotten this kind of stuff a lot before, so I was like, whatever, it'll be fine. You know, I'm just going to keep a loaded gun next to my bed, but no big deal. 4 a.m. hits, the rioters pretty much dispersed, and then all of a sudden my whole house just like lights up from all sides. And they were shooting commercial-grade fireworks at my house. I mean, I thought it was gunshots, but they said later that, you know, it was probably just the really large fireworks. But then they started banging on my windows, and it was
How did they find out where you lived?
through subpoenas that got
What?
posted online from people trying to get my conversations with Julian Assange, actually. But that's a whole
Wow.
other story.
Are
That's
these
what you get
people
for
pro
telling the
Assange? I don't
truth.
even understand.
No,
Are they pro anything?
no.
Yeah, they're
It's
pro
such a
killing your
weird-
Just wanna
enemies.
tear everything down.
Yep.
They're pro
I
tearing
know,
downs.
yeah. I
Elect
have no
more
other way to explain it.
Democrats.
So I'll tell you a funny story. I was in a conversation with some buddies, you know, like Ian. We share a living space along with many other people, and so the day that happened, the morning, it was like afternoon, okay, but it was the afternoon, and I was talking to everybody, and I was like, listen, man, things are getting spicy, okay, so you need to understand that the show that I do, the people that we have come through here and stuff, this is probably going to be a target too. Like, you were trolling pretty hard, not like you deserved it or anything like that. But, you know, I don't. And so I was just like, I don't think it matters. I think they'll come for you when they decide, whether it's now because Cassandra's pushing back or because I do a story they don't like. And general sentiment, I guess, from everybody was like, okay, you know, we'll see, whatever, sure. And then the next day, I took a bunch of my recurve bows and I, like, just propped them up, got them ready. And the general sentiment was, what's going on? And the general response was, they showed up to Cassandra Fairbanks' house. They were banging on windows. They were firing fireworks at it. And it's only a matter of time before they start targeting lesser, like, I don't want to say lesser known in regards to us because we're not like mainstream media or anything. But like Tucker Carlson's like the top tier, biggest cable channel, period.
Right.
Our cable show. So they went to his house.
Right.
Yep.
Now they're going to other people's houses.
It's going to keep moving in. The window of acceptable discourse where you're safe from this is going to get smaller and smaller.
Chat's asking to turn Cassandra up a little bit, and when you have it, point it right at your
Okay.
face.
Is this better?
Yeah, speak into it like it's a tube.
Also, I have tooth aligners in,
Oh,
so
yeah,
I'm
that's right.
talking terribly. I'm
But
sorry.
this is the problem of not having headphones,
Yeah.
because you can hear yourself, and then you're like, oh, I'm really quiet, and when you don't have
Yeah.
it, you know.
Yeah.
But we're in the middle of nowhere.
But when
having
you
trouble
hear
with setting up the
yourself,
studio
you have,
simply
like,
because, I mean, I
Self-lag
guess it's a
when
combination
speaking.
If I work too much, if I took one day off, we could have built the studio properly. But I'm like, no, I'm gonna keep working. I have another studio downstairs, and getting away from the cities because this is happening. And as things have gotten crazier and crazier, I'm just like, dude, I'm not having it. I know I've said it a million times, but it's not just this Omaha bar owner. They went to that guy's house in Milwaukee.
Yep.
Let's talk about this guy in Milwaukee. So, what was the story? He was a racist.
They claim that he was racist, but he got into a fight with his black neighbor. Don't know what it was about. I'm assuming it was some kind of like neighborhood dispute about the yard or whatever. She told a bunch of people on social media that he was racist, and there's this protest group in Milwaukee, and they're throwing like, I think it's justice protest parties or something. And what it is they're doxing people, posting their addresses in this group, and showing up on their front lawns to protest and terrify them and intimidate them and threaten them. I mean, they were outside his house for 3 hours screaming threats into a bullhorn.
This is a regular guy.
Yeah, regular guy.
They said he's a racist.
Yeah.
So that 3 hours in front of his house, and he got arrested.
Yep. And the police were like,
I
nowhere to be
hope
found.
you're
They were
listening,
screaming the whole
Sarge.
time, proudly streaming themselves, threatening him. And he's sitting inside his house, didn't confront them, didn't say anything to them, but he visibly had a shotgun.
Yeah.
Like he wanted to make it
pointed
clear.
at the window. I don't think he opened the window though.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if he really like pointed it or if he was like adjusting his position, like maybe he was moving, getting off his elbow. It wasn't like he was like
I think he pointed it.
I don't know.
I think he pointed
I
it.
don't care if he did personally.
Right.
Like, get off my lawn. I'm that lady. So
There's so much here that is deeper than just this story. And first, I'll just say my biggest criticism is how the media runs defense all the time, nonstop. So these mobs that have been showing up and doing this, they've gone to other houses where, in one instance, they almost burnt it to the ground. They set it on fire, and there was a mob outside. 2 people got shot. I should say people. Two teenagers, 14-year-olds, got shot during this. Like, they were looking for missing girls that weren't actually missing.
this is the same group, too.
Same group.
Yeah.
Same group, same guy, same community activist. And so that's the point. So imagine you're sitting at home. It's Saturday night. You cracked open a couple brews. You're watching the game, or I don't know. That guy probably was not watching the game. He's probably watching Netflix or something. What's on Amazon? I don't know.
No Netflix.
Netflix?
kidding.
No Netflix.
Sorry.
He got rid of Netflix. He's got a Trump flag. That guy got rid of Netflix.
he
for
got
sure.
rid of Netflix.
He had a Trump flag in front of his house. The mob shows up. It's the same guy who was at the other house where they shot 2 kids and they set fire to the house twice. And so what's he thinking? He grabs his gun.
Right.
Then they say because he was drunk. And so this is something that Lydia brought up as a really good point. Imagine you're chilling at home and you're drinking, and you're not wasted, but you have a couple beers, and then a mob shows up and threatens your safety. I'm not saying that the rioters or the Black Lives Matter people are going to break in or anything. I'm just saying, let's imagine a scenario where you happen to have been drinking when someone's about to break into your house.
Yeah.
If you defend your house, then are they going to say, "Oh, you were drunk. Sorry"?
Yeah, it's insane. Even if he was wasted, he should be able to defend his house. It's just incredible to me.
It seems like because they were on the street and not on his property.
They definitely entered onto his property.
Oh, they did?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
They
I
were
knew-
definitely on his lawn at several points.
Wow.
Like, they were not,
Stupid
respecting
monsters.
property boundaries or anything.
Where are
They don't
you,
believe in
Hangart?
Yeah.
Where
Did
the
you see that
are
Black Lives
you?
Matter removed their mission statement?
No, I did not.
Yeah, it's gone from their website apparently.
Whoa, that was the only thing I had on their side. That
Their
was the
mission
only-
statement?
Yeah, it's talking
Disrupting the nuclear
about
family?
It was about economic equality. They had a few points where I was like, how can I understand what they want, like, positively?
I don't trust anything these people have to say anymore. Not
Nope.
like I trust Republicans all that much.
Yeah.
But when they repeatedly say that they're fighting for justice, but then literally attack, like they're not fighting against racism, they're attacking black and brown people. When I have to wonder if the goal is to make more and more people just vote for Donald Trump.
Sure sound
I
like
mean, it's gonna work.
Yeah.
I would not be voting for Trump this year if this wasn't happening.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm
I
against
said about the
voting at
Julian
large.
Assange thing. I voted for Trump.
And I'd vote for
you know,
Trump.
I believe in a lot of his policies, his campaign promises. I am right wing, but I'm very upset with what he's doing to Julian Assange, and I would sit it out and protest if Democrats weren't running around being domestic terrorists.
Were you
Yep.
always? You weren't always right wing.
No, you know.
So I know. But for the audience's sake, you were
Yep.
like a big Bernie.
Yeah,
like
as
you
a
were out there
Bernie
with Black Lives
bro.
Matter.
Yeah, I mean, I was writing for a libertarian website that was pretty harsh on police and pretty anarchist bent. And I went and covered Ferguson, and I was very upset about the Kelly Thomas case in Orange County, which was a man who actually was innocent and was beat to death by police in a very shocking video.
I
So
hate when
they
this
first
happens.
came out, I was like, cool, people are going to talk about this. Maybe we can get justice for Kelly Thomas. Awesome.
Or you get
Rock
such
on,
stun
do
luck
your
that
thing.
even spamming your
And
blink
then I
doesn't
just-
work.
As I watched what they were doing, I just became more
Like
and
this?
more disenchanted with it and completely repelled me eventually.
I remember you told me a story about how you actually got attacked for being white,
Yeah.
and you're not even. I mean, I don't know. You're sort of.
I'm
Rican,
a
is that-
Puerto Rican. Yeah.
Puerto Rican is that? Because you told me that's what it's called, so I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But like, it's kind of interesting how when they started attacking other minorities who didn't agree with them, they started saying it's whiteness instead of you're white. It used to be like you're a white male. Then it was like when Candace Owens would come around, or people like you or me, it's like it's whiteness.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
now
white
just the concept
supremacy.
of, which can be adopted by anybody. Now you're white, Ian.
I've got
So
a
you have-
friend who's a black albino. It's the most mind-bending thing. He's African American.
Probably white in their
And he-
on their chart.
He's as white as me, but he
No, but-
identifies as black. It's just not. I mean, those.
It depends if he's right or left wing. Then they'll figure out what his color or what his ethnicity is. I think.
Maybe the whole goal is to just remove this concept of race in general. Like they say it. They don't believe race exists. They think there's no genetic component to any of it. And then when you start saying, when they start saying that, like, well, remember that article I think it was Huffington Post that black men are the white people of black people?
Yeah.
Yeah, things like that. Where it's like,
I think that they genuinely have an issue with white people. So, I mean, I don't know if I agree on that one. I think that they genuinely, like, it's becoming very apparent that there's a massive disdain, particularly for men, but for women too. The whole Karen meme and
Right.
what they did to Amy Cooper. There's just this weird. It's almost like revenge. Like they're trying to get revenge or something.
I don't think it's revenge. I think it's just a cultist scapegoat.
Yeah.
Well, they simultaneously say that Donald Trump is scapegoating immigrants. It's like when you talk about all this whiteness and white privilege, like literally the concept of whiteness, where you saw the thing in the Smithsonian where they claimed that time and hard work are traits of white people. It's like
Barely
yeah, okay.
racist.
Like so,
Barely.
There's an old joke. I don't know if you guys have seen the John Cleese thing, where he's like, this was a simplified version. It's an old joke, and then it's been expanded upon, where he's like, if you want to be a right-wing fellow, here's a list of people you can hate. And then he goes through all the people like the right supposedly hates. And then he's like, now if you find yourself wanting to be a left-wing extremist, here's a list of people that you can choose to hate. And then he goes through a list of people. And the joke about it is that at the end he says, he's like, when he's talking about the right-wing people, or I'm sorry, the people that right-wing hates, he ends with, and moderates. And then when he goes to the left-wing people, he ends once again with moderates. Like both sides hate him.
Yep.
But there's an expanded joke.
They do.
Where it's like, if you want to be a traditional conspiracy theorist, all right, then you're angry at the Illuminati. They control the banks. They start all the wars. They're responsible for all the oppression. Now, if you're a neo-Nazi, well, then you just replace Illuminati with the word Jew. If you're an Occupy Wall Street activist, you replace the word Jew with the 1%. If you're an intersectionalist, you replace the 1% with white people or whiteness. They always say basically the same things about all of the groups they believe are oppressing them, and none of it is true. It's just extremism. But I will say it's kind of coming full circle, too. It's really interesting. In that a book, I don't know if you guys saw it.
Shouldn't breed that
In
way,
Defense of
sorry.
Looting. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Apparently, there's like a portion of it where they say that Jewish people and Asians are like the face of capital or something. That's their claim. And it's like, that sounds horribly racist and anti-Semitic. Where are you going with this?
The New Black Panther Party protested a Chinese restaurant in D.C.
What?
Remember?
When was that? Why?
I don't even remember why they were just, but it was a few months ago. They went. It was what's the name of the restaurant? It's in D.C. I've been there before. Really good. They showed
Why were they
up.
protesting it?
I don't remember, but it was like
whatever.
the most ridiculous thing, and I think they were claiming that like, yeah,
Yum
yum
Yums?
yums. That's what it was.
Why were they protesting it?
I wrote about it and I'm completely blanking. It's been a really extreme day today.
We're definitely gonna get this all fixed and then have you come back like later in the week for sure.
But they they were saying basically that Asians are white people now too. So
That's why they say BIPOC.
yeah.
Black, indigenous, people of color. Asians don't count.
Yeah.
So it's really bad for someone like me, like they really hate me.
Yeah.
I was at a protest in, I think it was Seattle, at UW, University of Seattle, Washington. And there was a guy who was like ranting about the goal of the Nazis was to merge with the Asian race to create and I'm like, wait, hold on. What? You just made that? I was like, dude, the Nazis and Japanese were like allied. And I'm like, they never actually met at any point in battle. Like they were separated by half the planet. Like that's ridiculous. The Nazis were like all about, like, they were ridiculously racist. That's not true. But they just make these things up to explain why it is that Asian immigrants do really well. I learned something really crazy too. Filipino immigrants to the U.S. make way more on average than the average American.
Really?
Yeah, that surprised me.
They have great work ethic.
It surprised me because, like, of all of the East Asian nations, Southeast Asian, I would have assumed that like Filipinos would come here and be on par with like the average salary. Average is average, right? They do better. And I think it's I didn't look at the numbers for all the other, countries of origin, but I guess there's probably like legal immigrants probably make more money. I mean, they're willing. I don't think it's anything to do with I think what it has to do with is that these people are in their country saying, I'm going to work hard to go somewhere to improve myself. That kind of perseverance and mentality. They then come here and they keep working. They don't stop.
They have work ethic.
Opportunity. But I found that really, really interesting because there's a lot of arguments when the left tries to talk about Asian people and say that they're not, that they're not a marginalized group, that they're actually oppressors because they're so privileged. They're typically talking about Chinese immigrants and Indian immigrants, and they ignore all of the other more like less wealthy Asian nations. But even the immigrants from many of these countries do better than the average American. I think we as Americans have a culture problem where we don't teach our kids to work hard. Thus, we end up with a bunch of people marching around, smashing things, arguing that they're owed something, they deserve things, but they're not working towards it.
Right.
I'll tell you what. I'll give you a piece of advice too. The best advice is just do stuff. Because I could have said we're not going to do the show because we couldn't because everything was broken, and I'm like, I don't know, whatever, man, we're going to do it, and we're going to have a broken night or whatever. You just got to work hard. You got to try. You got to make stuff happen.
Tim. One day I was like, hey, my internet is better. Why don't I start streaming? And I started streaming. Of course, I'm not making money out of it. I haven't gained much popularity out of it, but my subscriber number increased slowly. I'm posting content every day, and I see my channel growing slowly but surely. Of course, nothing's going to happen between today and tomorrow, but next year, same time, I'll probably be in a better place with my channel. And besides, I'd be gaming anyway. Why not stream it? I make people come on my show. We have a nice talk while I game or we game, and then we move on. Do stuff. One day I decided I'd open a tomato in half. Took the seeds out and tried to have some tomato plants, and it wasn't much of a success, but I did have like 5-6 tomatoes, and it cost me time, but I'm super proud of having grown some tomatoes myself. I've made a few mistakes, and next year I'm gonna do it better, and that's how you learn. You start doing stuff.
But now it ends up where these people are getting into government. They're controlling schools, institutions,
and they're,
you know what?
They are making stuff impossible. You cannot just start building your house because there's so much permit. Are you hiring black people to build your house, or like people of color? You have racial diversity in your house building, and then doing anything becomes impossible.
You know what? I'll tell you this. I'm gonna make a bold statement. Part of me, when these people yell like cops are bad or whatever, I immediately think, man, these cops who arrested small business owners, these cops who went to the McCloskey's house and took their guns. I mean, those cops for sure I think are bad.
Yeah. And it's incredible because when you're watching the video of them in Milwaukee, they called the police on that man. These people who hate cops and are anti-cop, they called the police and said he has a gun in his house. And then you can hear him on his own live stream snitching on the guy, being like, he was pointing the gun. Go get him. Go get him.
And the cops are like, okay.
They cheered for the police while they pulled him out of the house. And I was like, you raving hypocrites. I mean, we can't swear on here, luckily, because
I mean,
I have words.
You can swear if you want.
No,
I always just tell
it's
people
fine.
that, like, so just
Same
so
here,
everyone
Tim.
who's watching knows. I always tell people swear, say whatever you want, but just realize like YouTube might penalize your content. So if you're, you know,
Right. No, I'm
you
just
want to say
kidding.
your thing.
I'm just saying, I have thoughts.
To clarify, there's no video of the guy pulling the shotgun, pointing or anything.
There
Well,
is.
in the video, yeah, the protesters or whatever you want to call them, the mob, they were live streaming it themselves
Rioters?
onto this Facebook group, which is
Maybe.
just doxing people's addresses and things like that. And you could see him in the window holding the gun.
Okay.
But he never confronted them. He never threatened them. They were threatening him with the bullhorn, and the police weren't there to do anything. They didn't stop these people. They didn't. I mean, it was like a scene from Beauty and the Beast when they're like Gaston's riling up the crowd and they're heading on horses up to the castle, except everybody was screaming incoherently and listening to Cardi B. It was really bad.
That's a really good analogy. Or
Yeah.
not even an analogy. Like, that's literally what it is.
Yeah.
Gaston rallying the people to go riot. It's the beast. He's a beast. Go. We got to go. Bring your
Yeah.
pitchforks. And it's like some drunk dude like chilling in his living room, like just watching Amazon or something. Who knows? I don't know
Yeah,
what he's
he
doing.
must have been I was terrified. I have never been more afraid, and I think it's because my daughter was there. She'll tell you all about it if you ask her. But I've never been more afraid because I didn't know how many people were out there. I didn't know if
Intimidating
they were gonna
children?
burst through my windows.
Nothing's
They
too
were
great
hitting
for
my
them.
window with, like what
Oh,
sounded
when
like
they
a
came
stick.
to your house, you're saying.
Yeah, and I was so afraid. And normally I can handle myself pretty well. I think I'm pretty scrappy. I've been in my share of fights, but when you don't know how many people are out there, you don't know if they're going to come into your house. You don't know if they're going to burn your house down. I mean, there was flames shooting at my house. It's really scary. And I was holding a gun the same way he was. And I was ready to shoot. I was
It's
like,
a
the second
whole
I see one of them
different
pop through the
story when it
window,
happens to you.
my life is over, but my daughter's going to be safe.
It reminds me of like a
And-
zombie movie when they see the windows and there's a silhouettes banging on the
Yeah.
window, and then like the hands break through.
That's what it felt like.
And you gotta like take a bat and like bash the arms. Ah!
A lot
Yeah.
of times you hear the stories about stuff like that, but you always read it after the fact when they didn't take it to the next level.
Right.
But when you're in the moment, you don't know if it's about to.
Yeah, I was pleading with 911. I was like, I don't know what they're gonna do. Like, when are you guys gonna be here? And they were like, I don't know. There's people are spread out all over the city because there's riots.
That's why.
And I was just like, well, what am I?
When seconds count, the police is minutes away, and they want to make defending yourself completely illegal.
Supposed to do? And I was like, all right, I had a revolver, so I was like, I only have 6 shots. I'm gonna take out the biggest one and make sure it's the men because the women probably won't hurt my daughter. I mean, the things that went through my head were crazy. I mean, I think about it now and I'm frightened of my own thoughts.
Do you feel
but-
comfortable talking about what kind of weapon you had? I don't know, because some people say not to.
Oh, sorry, I just said it.
Oh no. But I'm talking about like you said you had a revolver.
Yeah.
But what kind? You know what I mean?
I don't even remember what it was.
Like the caliber of bullet really matters.
I don't really want to get
Right.
into it.
I bought a bunch of guns.
You sure did.
I sure did.
What was 911's advice when you asked?
They told me to calm down, and I mean the lady was very like unsympathetic, and I at one point I was like, well, how long is it gonna take to get here? And she was like, well, I'm not coming. And I'm like, okay, thanks.
She said I'm not.
Yeah,
coming.
and meanwhile my daughter is staring at me like, what is going on? And I'm telling her to like go lay on the floor next to her bed in case I have to kill people. And this lady's just like, well, I'm not the one that's coming. I mean, I was like, what is happening? And that was when I really that was the part that was the scariest. I felt like there was nobody that was going to come help me because everybody, you could hear sirens everywhere, but they were going to fires. They were going, there was riot stuff happening everywhere.
That happened in New York during the riots, where this guy said he called 911 because someone had broken into his building and they were fighting.
Yeah.
And the response he got from 911 was, "Sir, our city is under attack. What would you have us do?"
Yeah, that's basically what they said to me.
You know, it's really. I got really angry today. So my main segment was.
It was a good
I was talking
one.
about this on my main channel. Pro-life Democrats took out a full-page ad in the New York Times saying the Democrats have gone crazy on abortion, and that if they don't
That's one thing I
moderate their position,
hate of
they're going
this
to lose
game.
30%.
Never
of their
take
voter
your
base
hand off the
to Donald Trump.
keyboard, not even
Because
scratch
like,
your
I
nose
talked to
while
Stephen
you
Crowder
are
about
away.
this on his show, conservative, pro-life, and I was like, I'm pro-choice, but these people are nuts. And Crowder basically said the Republicans are offering up negotiations to disaffected liberals, like, let's have a conversation about it. The left is saying no, like
We
outright.
are right.
And so anyway, I bring this up because we ended up seeing this, and there was another story, an article written by Bridget Fedesi. You guys know Bridget?
Yeah.
I do, yeah.
Commentator. She's great. And she talked about how she got hundreds of emails from people who are politically homeless. Some of them are conservatives who are going to vote for Biden. But she said for the most part, it seems like she wouldn't be surprised if Trump wins in a landslide based on the things she was hearing. I was talking about this. I started to get more and more heated because the other house is in Philly. The other, like where the studio is actually functioning, and we're trying to build this one out. And I thought we were safe. I thought we were totally fine. I lived in New York, and I remember the protests were getting a little crazy, and I was like, this is years ago. So I'd see them periodically, and I'd be like, whatever, they're just marching around. It's no big deal. But if civil unrest gets bad, I don't want to be here. Then some bombs got planted. I have no idea what that was about. I don't think it was about like political or anything like that, and politics. But I had moved from New York to Jersey, partly because 2 cops got executed in front of my house. I look out my window. I look down the street, not this intersection right here, but the next one over. So it was literally just like 1 block over. Two cops were sitting in their car, and a guy came up and said, he posted on Instagram, you take 2 of ours, you take 2 of yours. Killed these 2 guys. And so I realized, like, there's some political problems coming.
Yeah.
So I moved to the suburbs eventually. I'm like in Jersey. I was in Jersey. That's when the bombs happened. And I was like, I can't live here. This is getting too crazy for me. And like, my thing is, I traveled all around the world covering all of this conflict and crisis. So I don't want it anywhere near where I live because I see what that stuff is like. So when it started getting worse, I'm like, I'm leaving. I moved to the Philly suburbs. Outside, like, not even that close to Philly. It's on the other side of the road. It's in Jersey. And I was like, we are safe here. There are but trees surrounding us. We have very few neighbors. Everybody smiles and waves. The cops are right over there, and they smile. How's it going, Tim? Hey, good to see you, Officer Friendly. And the riot started, and then we heard the helicopters. And I'm sitting in the other studio, and it's like crazy sirens everywhere. Helicopters. I go outside on the deck, and I look. I'm like, they're within a few miles of my house. This is ridiculous. So you know what I did? I bought a bunch of guns. And I had said in January, I'm never buying guns. Never want a gun in my house. No guns. No guns. We called the police. The police couldn't respond to these people. They couldn't respond to you. So I went out and bought weapons.
Yep.
I heard your story where the 911's like, we can't do anything. You're on your own. You had a gun, and I'm like, man, I better do something about this.
Yeah.
Then Joe Biden tweets out, we're going to ban weapons of war. We're going to come for assault weapons. And I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
You defund
can't
the
do it
police.
now.
You defund the police. You support these people. And then I say, okay, fine. I'll take care of myself. I'm going to go buy weapons. I'm going to keep my house safe, my friends safe. And then you tweet, you're going to take my guns away now? These people are out of their minds. They're arresting people defending themselves. The McCloskeys, the guy in Milwaukee, this poor man in Omaha, his business was being attacked. And they decked his 70-year-old dad. And he warned them, back up, don't do it. And they attack him anyway, and they indict him. So now we're in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
Now here's the best part. If you come if you come anywhere near my house, you're on my property.
Yeah.
In a castle doctrine state.
Same. I'm really out there. And the closest, my mailbox is a mile away from my house. I'm not kidding. An actual mile from my house. So, if anyone comes anywhere near me, I even thought about putting landmines in on my
You
street.
can't legally do that, can you?
I probably not.
The mice, or the squirrels will blow up.
Oh,
No, the
that's
squirrels
true.
don't weigh enough.
I do like the squirrel.
But the deer might trigger it.
the deer.
You know,
We
you know what they do in, I think, I could be wrong about the country. I think it's in Cambodia. Because they have all of the landmines from the Khmer Rouge. I think it's Cambodia, right? They just send goats out.
Oh,
Aw.
man.
And then the
Poor
goats like just go like,
goats.
nah, boosh.
I want to get goats.
So somebody invented
Yeah.
this thing. It's like a big ball with a bunch of like mops, like sticks sticking out of it, and plates, and it just rolls around detonating landmines. But anyway, the general idea is, my understanding is that New Jersey is semi-castle doctrine. You can defend yourself only if you have no choice. Like, you have to retreat first, but if you're cornered, you can defend yourself with appropriate force. And so I'm like, so if someone breaks into my house, right? These are the questions I have. If someone breaks into my house, and there's the back door right behind me, but my friends are upstairs, do I just say, bye, everybody, you're on your own. I'm the one with the gun, but I'm gone because I'm not going to prison for you. Or do I go upstairs, not retreating, confronting the person breaking in? So I'm worried they're going to hurt my friends and family.
You really don't even think about the laws when it's happening.
Exactly.
At least I didn't. I propped myself behind a wall where I could see three of the you know how my living room was set up.
Yeah.
I propped myself behind that wall where the bathroom was, and I could see three of the windows, and it was the ones that they were hitting. It sounded like they were hitting it with sticks. And I was like, man, the second they come through,
Is DC
it's
stand your
over.
ground or castle doctrine?
I think it's duty to retreat. I didn't even look into it. I was just like, I'm gonna have to deal with this.
Well,
Like,
you know why-
you don't have time to think about it. You know,
But you know why any state that says you have a duty to retreat is wrong?
because you're in
and-
your house.
But it's true. Where do you retreat to?
Yeah.
Like, where am I supposed to go?
Under my bed? What do you guys want me to
I'll
do?
retreat outside and then be in the woods and then die of exposure, or
Yeah.
what? Give them my house, then I have no food, no shelter, no access to resources. I understand the general idea, but there is so much wrong with this concept of you have to.
All right, sorry, I was in
Because here's the
a
other issue.
big
Say
intellectual
you're in your
debate
house,
with someone.
and they say if someone is going to break in, you have to retreat. So they're banging on your windows, and you're like, I better retreat. You run out the back door, and there's a guy waiting for you with a baseball
Well,
bat.
that was my
Crack.
problem. They were shooting fireworks at 3 of the 4 sides of my house, and then the other side was an alleyway, and that was where they were like banging. So it sounded like there was just people surrounding my house. I mean, there could have been hundreds of people for all I know. Like, I had no idea because it was like blinding light in every window. And so I was like, I could flee out the basement door on the side, but there's stuff flying at those windows. So clearly that's not safe. And I was on a corner. It was bizarre.
When you're surrounded and you're in a duty retreat, and
Yeah,
you
it was-
what's the legal
All right,
implication
so-
there if you retreat into your bedroom and then they come into your house and you open fire? Have you legally retreated
No, you
at
have to
that
retreat.
point? But to where?
I have no idea.
They'll be like,
Burrow.
you didn't retreat into
Yeah.
the arms
back
of
door,
the villain.
escape, run away.
But if
Yeah,
you don't
but when
have
there's
one?
a mob, how do you do that?
Yep. And then you'll get treated like the Omaha guy.
I mean, it could have been one person for all, or well, it was at least 2 people or 3 people, but I mean, it could have been one person. It could have been 100 people. I had no idea. It was just loud and bright. My house was pitch black, and it was so bright it looked like it was noon, just from the fireworks. And what do you do? Where do you go? I told my daughter to lay on her bedroom floor because at least her bedroom was up on the hill, so it was not on ground level.
Not only
But
it's not just about retreating, but like, what about your kid?
yeah,
Is she going to be able to run as fast as you? Is she going to be able to climb the same fences as you? Or,
yeah.
If it was someone like me, and I guess I would imagine that there's some leeway if you're acting in defense of others, but you don't know how the courts are going to treat you. So I understand there's probably a lot of people correcting me because, look, I'm a new gun owner. I haven't researched a lot of these laws. Recently reached out to a criminal lawyer about like what I need to do to be legal, moving, and stuff like that. And I'm sure they're going to say, oh, here's what happens if someone breaks in this state and all that stuff. I get it. But what we're seeing right now is morality policing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're justified. It doesn't matter if you're right. We got the guy in Omaha literally saying, don't do it, and backing away. And they still indicted him. And one of the indictments was quite literally him warning them not to attack him. They were like, well, that was a threat.
Yeah.
That was a terroristic threat. Saying what? Back up. Don't do it.
Yeah.
So even if you did the right thing, you're talking about duty to retreat, doesn't matter. You could run full speed away from your house, yelling help, and they'll say, oh, but they were trying to incite a riot by yelling help to get everyone to come out and start attacking. Oh, and they'll just make it up. They'll make it up and say, these poor peaceful protesters.
It sounds like you've lost faith in the system,
Maybe that's on purpose.
or you're
I
losing.
have.
Yeah, I think it's intentional. I think they're
Dude,
trying to.
I bought
diminish-
guns because I have no faith in the system. Because I need to make sure I'm safe. And you're safe. And everyone here is safe. So
For
now, the edited
safer.
nowhere is, one of the concerns I have watching that video from Milwaukee, they were standing in the street. And so they can argue, I'm not on your property. I'm on public property. While harassing you and maybe even throwing things at your house. Where I am now, you come anywhere near my house, you're on my property. You go in the woods, you're on my property. It's a big property in the middle of nowhere. Brought the costs down, but the general idea is I want to make sure that anybody who eventually finds their way here somehow, I don't know, no matter what you do, you're on my property. I'll tell you what, we're going to have in-ground auto defense turrets go.
Yeah, we were talking about setting up test
I-
turrets.
I'm kidding. We're not going to have auto defense turrets.
A friend of mine who's also right wing and a little bit controversial, when they live in a similar area to me, about an hour away, same state though. When they moved in, they were like, "So what's the law here about if people show up at your house?" And the sheriff was just like, if they're on your property, you shoot them. And I was like, I'm gonna move there.
Yeah.
That's here where you're at now. I like it.
There are a lot of states like that. Missouri, for instance. So the McCloskeys, you know.
Yeah, that's That's so sad, man. They were just brandishing a weapon to scare the people off.
They were on private property. They came
They
onto
didn't
private
point
property.
it at him. They pointed it at him. They
She
weren't just
she
branding
pointed
it.
at him and
Yeah.
like walked towards him. So the issue for me is with all these stories is that I always tell people that they're always going to find an excuse because everything moves in increments, right? We're not going to see, in my opinion, or we might, like a bunch of Black Lives Matter people right now running up to a random elderly woman's home, beating the crap out of her on a live stream and burning her house down. That's really extreme, and everyone would turn on them. But it slowly happens, right? And they have excuses. So first, they go to the McCloskeys' house. The McCloskeys are eating dinner. They see this mob come in. The gate gets broken somehow. And so they pull out their weapons and say, back off. Then the Black Lives Matter group says, we were peacefully protesting, and they pulled guns. Then these leftists go, oh.
And the media will never show you the broken gates or any of the things that they destroyed on their way there for that peaceful protest.
So it's the increment, though, right? Mm-hmm. As long as the regular liberals can go, yeah, but I mean, even though they were trespassing, don't you think it's a little extreme? We pulled out an assault rifle. Then what happens next? Then we get the Milwaukee guy. Now they're standing in front of his house screaming for hours and hours, and he brandishes his weapon, and he gets arrested straight up. And then they say, whoa, wow, I can't believe he was pointing the gun at those peaceful protesters. The next thing that's going to happen is, like, they're going to go to someone's house, and they're going to kick the door in, and they're going to be like, dude, he kicked the door in, but he didn't deserve to die.
Yeah.
If right now somebody kicked the door into like a random person's house, the media might have no choice. So like the Andy No incident. You know Andy No?
Yeah.
He got brutally beaten in the street by Antifa.
Yeah.
The media had no choice. It was such a dramatic escalation from what Antifa had done in the past that everyone was like, whoa, 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 too much, too fast. So Antifa had to pull back a little bit. Pull back. Oops. And then after time, they started working on all of the hit pieces, the smears, calling him a white supremacist. Now that he's a white supremacist, now the media won't cover it if he gets attacked again. So it's increments. I talked about this a long time ago, and I've been predicting they're going to start coming to people's homes. And then they started coming to people's homes. I predicted the morality police will arrest you when you defend your property several months ago. I was like, it's only a matter of time before they go to someone's house. Some guys like stay off my property, and the cops were like, it's easier to arrest the homeowner than it is to deal with the mob. And that happened already. And now Omaha is probably the most worrying and terrifying story yet. Jake Gardner, Marine veteran. 2 tours in Iraq, I think?
Yeah.
Bar owner, small business owner, minding his own business, giving warnings, backing away, and they came for everything.
And
his business, his family, his home.
He was so much nicer than me, or like half the people I know. I mean, did you watch the video of him talking about the Women's
he's
March?
A really nice guy.
Like, I was like, wow, I should be nice like that. And then I was like, wait, no, I shouldn't. He's dead right now because of these people.
I wonder if...
But he was just so good. Like, and they still made him into a demon.
Yeah.
Like,
This is where they busted into the bar, this group. They started smashing stuff up.
No,
what happened? They walked into the bar?
So there was like a group smashing up windows in Omaha. And the bar owner's dad came out and told them, like, something to the effect of, like, probably back off.
He pushed somebody.
He pushed somebody.
Okay.
And then someone runs up full speed and just, like, drop kicks him or something and slams him to the ground. And he's, like, 70. But, look, the dad should not have shoved somebody.
I couldn't even come back in time to click my potion. I died.
Like, okay, back off, man.
They must have chaos
but
damage.
It's true. You know, criticism where it's due.
Or
although
lightning,
it's
actually.
not
I'm
the
very
most
weak
egregious
to
thing that
lightning.
happened that night.
Oh, no.
So the son came over like, yo, what are you doing? Don't mess with my dad. And 2 guys start encroaching on him. He pulls up his shirt to show his weapon. And it's all on video. And he's like, don't do it. I'm warning you, don't do it. Don't do it. And he's backing away. The 2 guys attack him. He pulls out his gun, and while they're holding him down, he fires 2 warning shots. They run away. As he's struggling to get up, he's like on the ground, and he's like staggered. This guy, James Skurlock, jumps on his back, puts him in a chokehold. And then he yells. It was like 18 seconds where he was choking him. He switches the gun to his left, puts it over his shoulder, and fires. Then they took everything from him.
The law came and
So
arrested
first,
him.
they said it was clear-cut self-defense. The DA said, clear-cut self-defense. We got it on video. The dude was on the ground, and he got attacked. The landlord for his bar, get out. The landlord for his home, apparently I'm learning from Cassandra.
yeah, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty certain that's what I was reading today. Because I remember being like, wait, what?
That's probably why he was on the West Coast.
Yeah.
So then he loses everything. His job, his income, his business. And then finally, the last thing he had, freedom. The Black Lives Matter groups went to the city, protested, rioted, whatever. I shouldn't say rioted because I don't know exactly what they did. But the community pressure resulted in the DA saying, okay.
Peer pressure is the law now.
And then the grand jury argued that because he warned them, he was threatening them. And because he was threatening them and had a gun, it was a felony. And then he got a man. So it's like, imagine telling someone, stay away from me, I have a gun. And they say, oh, terroristic threats, you're under arrest. So now you can't warn somebody, which means if you do shoot, what we're supposed to do? Bang, shoot him. No warning. Don't say anything. Because if you say something, they're going to charge you for it.
Yeah.
They stripped everything from this guy. And he will not be the last.
Did
Nope.
he kill himself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or so they found him dead with a bullet.
Yeah,
Self-inflicted.
he sent goodbye texts to a lot of people.
So he just,
Wow.
38.
38, Marine veteran. I believe it was
38.
38, 2 tours in Iraq.
That is
And
so
he
sad, man.
was small business owner, Marine veteran, regular guy.
He volunteered
every-
with the Trump campaign, but he was libertarian leaning.
And he was the video of him that's gone viral is him saying like, the Women's March it's great that they're expressing themselves. Their criticisms of Trump are warranted. That's how they feel. They have a right to express themselves. I'm happy they're not violent. Super chill dude. Super chill. And then they started accusing him of being a racist. They started making up lies saying he was posting racist things on Facebook. I tried to find it. I do my research. I couldn't find anything.
Did you see? So there was a Medium article that was viral, and it's kind of what kicked all this off. There was this activist from Omaha, and he wrote this like long, unhinged blog. I mean, it was a conspiracy theory to end all conspiracy theories.
Hey, it looks
But
like
he
the
was
labyrinth.
taking apart like the logos of the bars, and one of them was called. I'm blanking on it. I've had a very long day, and I'm on very little sleep. But it had a key in the logo, like an old-fashioned key.
Yeah.
And in the handle part, it was like a plus sign, like a cutout in an old-fashioned key. And they said that the plus sign was meant to represent a swastika. And they put, I am not even kidding. I've posted
Why did I
screenshots
go
of this
there?
on my Twitter.
Why?
I didn't want to link to the article itself because it was, I mean, the left gets
You
really
have to
unhinged
kill
with their conspiracy theories. Like, they make the whole frogs are turning gay thing look really, really, really moderate.
Really moderate.
Yeah.
Alex Jones, moderate.
I mean,
Yeah.
it makes more sense than anything that they're saying. But it was.
I'm sorry. To be fair to Alex Jones, he was referencing a study on atrazine.
No, I know.
But everybody
And it
loves
was making them hermaphrodites, right?
And I
It
love.
was, yeah, it was altering.
I really like Alex Jones. I'm not making fun of him. I think he's a national treasure. He's hilarious. But I was just, that's a common conspiracy theory that I could reference from the right. But yeah, they literally put this plus sign from inside the key handle, a tiny detail from this logo. And they were like, look at how it matches up next to a swastika. It didn't have any swastika shapes. It was literally a plus sign, a bold plus sign.
Yeah.
That's how they were trying to destroy this man.
There's a valve. The media acts as a valve for politics. It's really interesting. It's kind of like we have this weird system where there's politics flowing around, kind of in no, it doesn't make sense. But here's the point I'm trying to make. When it comes to personal politics, it only flows in one direction, to the right. So the left will kick you out, they'll ban you, they'll attack you, your opinions are wrong, and the right is just recruiting everybody. Come on over, we'll take everybody we can get, and we're gonna win.
The right was great to me.
Yeah, I mean, so the easiest analogy is the left is screaming and yelling while the right's offering you a beer.
Yeah.
And even though they don't agree with you, they'll be like, let's have a conversation. And I point this out all the time when I sat down with Glenn Beck, disagreeing on pro-life versus pro-choice. And we laughed together and we shook hands and we're like, man, we got to figure out how to live together. We disagree. And it was a smile. It was like, this is great. We had a great conversation. We respected each other's opinions. We disagree with each other. The left doesn't do that. But there's something else happening when it comes to the media. The media only flows to the left. So it's a weird thing where the people flow right and the media flows left. So here's what happens. What would happen if you came out right now and I'm not even going to say it. There are several channels on YouTube that have been deleted outright, and some have been stripped from their monetization for saying things about coronavirus, like doubting it or criticizing it. Gone, just like that. But of course, if you come out and scream hysteria on bloody murder, you're fine. So what happens if you can't talk about the other side of issues? It can only move left. So it's almost like a ratchet. It can only go one way. You can't pull it backwards. So it keeps ratcheting. Everything is ratcheting more and more to the left. And then people, because the left and the media is going insane, are being shoved out and pushed to the right. So I got to say, in reference to Bridget Fedesi's article, I wouldn't be surprised if Trump got a landslide either. And these polls may be wrong because they don't know what they're talking about anymore. I think their methodology is probably broken. All these pollsters, Rasmussen was the only one who got it right. They were like, I could say, I think they were the only one who got it right on 2016. Mm-hmm. It was like they predicted, I think, 2 points and Hillary got 1.7 or something like that. Or I think they predicted 1.7 and she got 2.1. Everyone else was like, Hillary Clinton's going to win by 3. They were the closest. Right now they're saying Trump's doing really, really well. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if Trump does win because of all of this stuff. Because here I am forced into a corner. I have to go buy guns, and then Biden threatens taking my guns away. Yeah. And now I'm just like, I'll tell you, it's a really interesting thing. The difference between never having a gun and talking about gun control and gun rights, and then owning a gun and having the same conversation. Because to truly understand what these laws mean, you have to actually be holding one and owning it. It's yours. And then all of a sudden, it's like, hey, wait a minute. I didn't do anything. Don't take what did I? I have this. It's mine. I'm a good person. Don't take my gun from me. And now they are. And so now I'm like, listen, when I felt like I could trust police, it was very, very different. Now I feel like I have no options at all. I literally am like, I got to leave this area because what am I supposed to do? If someone comes to my house and I defend myself, I'm going to end up like this Omaha guy. What am I going to jump off my balcony 20 feet, and like land on the ground, run, and then there's nowhere to go. There's no way to retreat. And I know if I do anything, they're going to claim peaceful protesters, some other ridiculous nonsense.
Yeah. My 10-year-old daughter wouldn't. She never went back into my house after that night. She went and stayed at her dad's house, and then I had to send her up to visit my mom in another state.
Smart. Because
my daughter would not step foot in the house again. She was like, I don't know if they're coming back. They didn't catch them. I'm not going there. So I had to move in 12 days. Fastest move of all time.
The middle of nowhere.
But
and then
thank God I did though.
Moved out into the middle of nowhere too.
You're gonna love it.
I know, it's fantastic. I love it. So we've been here for the past several days, and everything we got built today, like this room was barren, empty, and like trust us, getting this, we got like a mixer board over here and all this stuff. It's ridiculous. I swear it's magic. There's like a weird scenario where like cables just don't work, and then but I'm trying really, really hard to just get out because November is coming. And I am not going to be in a city on November 3rd through forever.
Yeah.
It's like the deadline to get out of the cities. I'm like, look, we're what, 8 days away now from the debates?
Awesome.
How could the debates happen?
Is it that soon?
They better.
29th.
I've been so distracted with covering like Antifa and BLM and all this stuff. I didn't even realize it was coming up so soon.
29th.
Wow.
So we're just over a week out. Can a debate really happen?
Oh yeah.
Joe Biden, he just said 200 million people
I know.
Died. Did you
he
see
might
that?
fall asleep.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Maybe they're going to give him like a ridiculous dose of uppers. They're going to have him sleep up until 1 hour before, wake him up, get him all ready, and then give him some uppers. I'm not trying to be mean. I mean that literally. Like they might give him some
Trump
medication.
wanted to do a drug test, he and Biden, because he thinks he's on something.
People have said Trump's on stuff. But Trump's a spry old man. He's spry.
Yeah.
Joe Biden's not. So I started thinking, I'm like, man, isn't everything just going completely nuts? Like this can't be real. Are we in the Truman Show or something?
I think
are you guys punking me?
You are so in it. Like you say this sometimes, and you might be too. I don't know, but you're seeing the worst a lot. So it's not as crazy as it seems.
No. I'm not talking about the worst. I'm talking about the weird.
It's definitely weird. The internet made things so weird.
So hold on. Let me ask you a question. Did you see the Colby Covington fight?
Oh no, but I watched his interview after.
What was the guy he was fighting was like a pro Black Lives Matter guy?
Yeah.
Come on, man. A guy named Covington fighting a Black Lives Matter activist, a Trump supporter in the ring against him. Somebody set that up. Now, the dude was impressive. Like, and his speech was awesome. The dude's cool.
I liked when they got into a fight afterwards, like a verbal fight after. That was great. Did you watch that?
No, what happened?
Well, he got a lot of backlash, Colby did, because he was like, I just got off the phone with the president. Has your tribe sent you smoke signals or something? It was real bad. But my eyes were watering watching it. I was like, I can't believe he just said that. The UFC is the last place that like comedy and actual put downs and like Yeah,
But
trash talk is loud.
I saw a meme, and it said it was like something like a Colby Covington and the Covington Kid, and it was like it was like a picture of the Covington Nick Sandman, and they're like MAGA. I'm like, what? Like how? It's just a coincidence, right? But then the dude literally fought a Black Lives Matter activist and won. Yeah. Is that like are the elders controlling the simulator or whatever? Are they warning us what's going to happen in November? Like Trump will win. It's good. Trump's going to beat them. It just there's a lot of weird little things like this where it's like that can't be real, can it? Like how is this really happening?
If it's a magnetic universe, there are no coincidences.
We're in a simulation, bro. I was talking to some other people who are some big personality friends of mine, and I was just like, bro, are we in a simulation? And these are like regular, normal, boring podcast people, and they're like, dude, we're in a simulation. I'm half kidding because I'm like, it's just everything that's happening is so weird, you know. I can't imagine a debate between. Listen, when I watch these videos of Joe Biden, I don't just follow right-wing pundits who are making fun of Joe Biden, and I push back when people try and say Joe Biden gaffed when he didn't. So there's that one thing where Joe Biden said, I'm going to beat Joe Biden. He didn't. He said, I'm going to be Joe Biden, but he's got dentures.
Right.
He was like, people ask about my record. I tell you, I'm Joe Biden. I'm going to be Joe Biden. But people heard a beat, and I'm like, so I'll push back on that, right? There's also when he said, you know, remember when Biden said, go, the thing? Well, we're all created equally under go, the thing we say. It's not because he didn't remember the word. It's because he panicked, thinking if he said the word God, he'd offend the far left, who really hate that. So he stopped himself. Undergo, the thing. He stopped himself from saying God. So that wasn't a gaffe. But I watch videos of Joe Biden. That dude is not there at all. No. And so how could Donald Trump's going to walk up on stage and go, thank you. Joe Biden, thank you. Your campaign staff bailed out the rioters. And then it's over. Done. That's it. They did.
And Trump will he'll be like, you said 200 million people will die. And but then he won't let it go. Trump will keep going with it. That's the nice thing
He's got stamina.
I can't realize. I can't believe I was muted all this time.
So
he's persistent.
We'll talk about that.
I didn't have much to add, though. Besides, I don't feel we live in a simulation.
First,
and I'm going to die on this bus.
We're talking about these riots and everything. How do you feel about Trump's job so far dealing with the riots?
Not great. I honestly, if somebody told me that I would be saying this 6 months ago, I would have been like, you are out of your mind. But I think he should have used the Insurrection Act like 3 months ago.
I thought that at first.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that.
I can see why she would agree with that, but I can see why Trump didn't do it, and I think he did the right choice.
When the local police are instructed to resist, when the local government resists, and you all of a sudden have a federal occupying force in a city that's rejecting them.
Yeah.
It's just a recipe for legit civil war.
But at the same time, these cities are rejecting U.S. law and U.S. norms and everything. They've gone nearly anarchist. So at what point do you say these states are, not,
how do you? So
they're not functioning.
You saw what happened today with the DOJ announcing anarchist jurisdictions.
Yeah.
They're going to try and defund Portland, Seattle, and New York City, or take federal funding away from them.
Good.
My concern is that's going to result in more problems for the cities. I think it's going to make them get worse because now they have no money and they're going to be like, whatever. It's going to kind of fall apart. But the problem is, even that action, which I understand why they're doing it, they give this big outline of all of these cities, how they rejected federal assistance, how they won't enforce the law, how they're cutting criminals loose. And I'm like, almost anything Trump does will lead to potential civil war. Like the states rejecting federal authority, which they've been doing.
They either have someone who do what they say, or they wage war. And they blame you for it. Oh, you made us do this. Yeah, sure. Like they'd accept someone with the same way talking point towards them.
Trump on over and over again, probably for the 50 billionth time, for those of you that are familiar with my content, is that the feds deputized the Oregon State Police. So any arrest they make now gets prosecuted by the feds instead, and that wrapped up a ton of these people.
Yeah.
But then here's what happened. The riots came back to Portland the other day. They went to an ICE facility, and ICE. You see these videos of how ICE responded? They just dropped smoke bombs. The air was a cloud. You couldn't see anything. You couldn't see your hand in front of you. And then they ran up behind Antifa. So like Antifa's marching forward with the umbrellas, and they're like firing tear gas at him, and then the whole area fills with smoke, and then all of a sudden the cops run up behind. They went around, ran up behind them, and just grabbed them and arrested them all.
Yeah.
So then what happened the next day? Antifa stayed away from the feds, marched to the city, smashing up local businesses. And where were the police? Where was Ted Wheeler? Nowhere to be found.
Finally.
They realized if they go up against Trump, they get crushed. But so long as they attack the state level, they're okay.
See, one of the things that I'm having a huge problem, like, wrapping my head around, though, is that everybody's being like, this is what Biden's America, this would be Biden's America, this would be Biden's America. And I'm like, this is Trump's America, and it's happening right now, and it's not stopping. And these business owners have been getting screwed for, 130 days now? And nobody's helping
yes,
them.
this is
And
amazing.
It's not Biden's America, it's Trump's America. And he has a responsibility to do something if those local leaders are failing. Because it's not those people's fault. It's not the business owner's fault. It's not Jake's fault. It's not any of these people's fault that their local government is failing them.
At the very least, no,
But
I can't even.
I do want to say, though, before people jump down my throat, like, I am voting
Hey.
for Trump, and I think that you'd be a fool not to vote for Trump. I just have some criticisms also.
I think Trump's probably concerned that if he makes too bold a move, it could affect his chance at re-election. I think every politician deals with that.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people say Trump's not a politician. He is now. He's fighting for re-election. So he's a different kind. But he might lose if they would use everything against him.
I don't believe there's undecided voters. I think that people have picked a side.
Yeah.
And his side wants law and order.
Yeah.
And he's not giving us enough law and order.
Well, I mean, not only that, look at the Republicans who are like, we're not going to vote on replacing Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It's like, dude, literally every Republican and Trump supporter wants you to do it.
Yeah.
So I don't know whose vote you think you're going to get. It's funny because you have, like, I think it was like Murkowski.
Yeah.
Did they flip back and say they were going to do it, or?
I don't think so. I think she's standing strong, but I could be wrong. I was in Assange and Antifa mode all day. I haven't kept up on anything else.
She's saying, she's not going to vote until after she's not going to vote to confirm or whatever until after the election. Does she think there is a large group of Trump's, like, conservatives and Republicans who have decided?
I went the wrong way. That's why.
The point I'm trying to make is, if 30% of the country is Republican, 33 is Democrat, and 30 are independent, she realized, like, you realize you'll lose all of the Republicans if you do this. And so what is she trying to get Democrats to vote for? They're not going to vote for her.
Yeah.
They want ridiculous policy that makes no sense. So by abandoning the core base of Republicans, then what? You get some left moderate Democrats who for some reason like the Republican better than the Democrats. That makes literally no sense.
I mean, I just think politicians are narcissists.
Yep.
And they get, she is an extremely unremarkable politician.
Oh,
There's
I'd pause
nothing
you,
special
Cassandra,
about
if
her.
I didn't
There's
have to
nothing
click away
interesting
and
about
die.
her. She's not a Trump or a Ted Cruz or a Rand Paul. She's not she's boring. And by pandering to the left for a little while, she gets a whole bunch of head pats from CNN, and she gets her 5 minutes of airtime where people are like, you did a great thing. You're so brave. And it feeds their ego for, another year.
Let's talk about WikiLeaks.
All right.
So you're like a WikiLeaks confidant, I guess, or like, how would you describe yourself in that capacity? We're talking about Trump, mind you, too. I'm tying it together.
I don't know. I'm a friend of Julian's. I'm a longtime supporter. I've covered them.
I think he's great as well.
I've written hundreds of articles about WikiLeaks. Yeah, I don't know.
You were saying before, like, if it wasn't for the riots, you wouldn't have voted for Trump because of what happened to Assange.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody is, going after your friend, would you?
Well, what did Trump do? So let me start real quick, just for people who might not be aware. WikiLeaks is essentially just a news publication.
Right.
The core of it is they take leaks, whistleblowers, and they publish. All news outlets do this. Well, not all, but most. But news outlets also will write, like, it rained today and there's like a cat in the tree. But they'll take leaks. The New York Times writes about a bunch of different things, including leaks.
Used to.
Focuses on
They all
leaks and
use
stuff.
software based on WikiLeaks now to get anonymous submissions.
Right, the Dropbox stuff.
Yeah.
So Julian Assange has basically
How
been
is it
detained forcibly under house arrest.
coming from?
Sort of,
Where is
the
it coming
Ecuadorian
from?
embassy for a long time. When they finally are like dropping the charges, the U.S. swoops in and arrests him, and now they're trying to extradite him. And I don't know how much I'm supposed to say. Well, they read your testimony, right?
Yeah. It's
so
online.
Trump did it.
Yeah.
Trump is the one who ordered Assange's arrest.
See? That's a
I
good
don't get
critic against Trump.
Trump said he loved WikiLeaks, and now all of a sudden he's putting Assange through all of this.
Well, I think Trump surrounded himself with a lot of very, very bad people.
John
I mean, we
Bolton.
had Bolton, Pompeo. He hired a lot of Bushies. It's not the same Republican Party as the Trump people, and those people certainly don't care about a free press.
If I do this,
But
does it show
yeah,
on
he
OBS? No, it doesn't.
ordered it,
Great.
And Jennifer
Can you-
Robinson recently testified too that there was a meeting and they offered Julian Assange a pardon in exchange for giving up his source.
On the
And
DC email leaks.
Right.
Or the DNC.
Yes.
Or was it the DCCC? Or it was the DNC, right?
The DNC leaks.
So Julian Assange came to possess emails from the DNC. And it was
Prepare
very, very
this
bad for the
topic
Democrats.
with
And Donald
help
Trump wants to know how he
having
got
a
this.
more
Well, I mean,
informed
Donald Trump's whole
debate.
I can't
We
talk.
can
His whole
always
presidency has been
straight
plagued
up.
by Russia. Everything's Russia. You won because of Russia. And so by finding out WikiLeaks source, because Julian's repeatedly said it wasn't a state actor, and he's a very honest man, he would finally be able to put that to bed.
It would clear Trump.
It would clear his name.
This is a really tough question. It's a really difficult ethical conundrum. Julian Assange can't give up his sources.
No.
It would discredit everything he's ever done. It would destroy the organization, and it would put at risk his sources.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people, there's the conspiracy theory of who leaked to it, who leaked the information to WikiLeaks. But assuming that I guess the conspiracy theory is Seth Rich. They claim that Seth Rich did it. But the media claims it was Russia. I guess it was what intelligence agencies claimed it was Russia as well.
Right.
But Assange said absolutely not. Then who was that other guy who claimed it was not Russia because he received the documents from someone?
Former ambassador Craig Murray.
Craig Murray said that.
Yeah.
So it's either it could.
This is
at point, I
amazing
have
and
no idea who
interesting
it could have
stuff.
been. Maybe Craig Murray, Assange, they're both lying. Maybe the theories are wrong, or maybe there's someone we don't know about, and if Assange gave him up, it would put this person's life in jeopardy, and Assange won't give up that information.
Right, and it could have been multiple people.
Before I
mean,
forget,
he's not going to tell anyone, and he shouldn't, and he doesn't owe anybody that. People are like, well, he needs to do this because our democracy is falling apart, and it's like he doesn't owe you anything. He gave you the information to make an informed decision about your election. And then everybody forgot about him and left him in an embassy for 2 more years to rot while Trump was president and could have pardoned him.
Yep.
Why does he owe anybody anything? And so when he refused the deal, WikiLeaks lawyers argued that that's when they decided to prosecute him.
Because now they're going to take him by force and force him to give it up.
Right.
And that's a violation of ethics.
haha,
And
Here it
it
is.
really is a challenge because I feel that part of me where it's like, if we can get confirmation that it really wasn't Russia, that would destroy, maybe not completely, because the establishment lies all the time and we know, they were wrong completely about Russia and we know that. But if we figure out who this person really was, assuming this person, whatever we could learn about that person, that could change everything and be a major, powerful tool in stopping the psychopaths who are destroying our cities, who are romping through our streets, who are infecting our cultural institutions. It feels like Assange might hold the key, a powerful tool to ending what the left is doing and help restore America back to where it used to be if we could just get the truth about what happened.
Yeah, but
However,
that's not his responsibility. He's not even American.
I know.
He doesn't owe anybody any favors. Nobody in America did him any favors.
And this is why I'm like, this is Donald Trump's absolute.
There you go.
America first.
Edited the live
He
stream.
would be like, Assange is an American, and he needs the information for America. But also, I gotta say, for himself too, it would exonerate him.
Right.
It would disprove a lot of this nonsense. Even though it's already been mostly proven to be bunk. We'll see what happens with the Durham report. I'm wondering if we're even going to see any. I don't think anything's going to happen with Durham. I got to give context for the people who might not understand. So we have John Durham is investigating the Obama administration and intelligence agency individuals for, I guess, how would you describe it? I guess the official way is understanding how Russiagate started. Although they've already issued one criminal indictment, I think, right? That lawyer who altered the email for like claiming that Carter Page wasn't actually a CIA source or something. So, and this story is so hard to talk about. You know what really scares me about all of this?
What?
To truly explain to someone the context around Julian Assange, what his information means, why he has to protect it, why Trump is going at it. There's like 50 billion stories beneath all of that. It's so difficult.
Yeah, it's very, very challenging. I've been trying to explain my testimony to some friends of mine and things who don't really follow it. They
Ooh.
only really know
Dwarf
WikiLeaks because of the
Fortress
election.
has
And
a
it's
new
just like an onion. Like there's so
update.
many layers you have to explain for each little bit of my statement. Like it was very complicated because a lot of people only know WikiLeaks from 2016. They don't remember, or they were too young, or they weren't paying attention, or it was just the wrong side politically when the Manning leaks came out. So
Was that collateral murder?
yeah,
That was
in the war logs.
So, like in Vietnam, they embedded journalism, and people could see how horrible it was, the casualty rate on both sides in friendly fire, and then so they pulled journalism out of the military for the first Iraq invasion, basically, or war.
They pulled it out.
Yeah, they don't want they put journalists in there only as like faux journalism to make it look good.
Yeah.
So, seeing this collateral murder thing, you see how it was just civilian strike, like people just die. Like,
That was Obama,
yeah, that was Obama's drone.
right? That was Obama.
It was like a,
No.
That was before Obama. That was
Oh, they're
2010
coming
2010
from
or
there.
something? Oh, it was before.
Are
It
they?
was came out
Obama,
during
but
Obama.
the footage was from Bush.
It was
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
helicopter gunship mowing down
You pull up
civilians
collateral
that
murder
they
and
thought
just-
were
Yeah.
camera. They thought a camera was a gun. They opened fire on all these civilians.
Yeah, Manning described it as like watching a child torturing ants with a magnifying glass
Yeah, they were
because they were
laughing.
shooting them from the helicopter and laughing. Yeah,
And
It
that's
was
that's
powerful
war.
stuff.
That's military. You know, they have to have fun. They have to joke about it.
yeah.
'cause they're
Otherwise,
going-
you'd go crazy.
So
Yeah.
Donald Trump talked about pardoning Edward Snowden. The
That would be
Snowden
amazing.
is the NSA leaker who gave all of these files to Glenn Greenwald and Laura Poitras, The Intercept, and Donald Trump entertained pardoning him. Don't you think there's a possibility, or do you think there's a possibility he might, after he gets
No.
reelected, finally be like, okay, you know what?
Well, I mean, I guess I should explain what my testimony was about today.
So this is kind of crazy. You submitted testimony in the trial against Julian Assange.
No, I wasn't against him. I was for the defense.
No, I mean that the trial
yes,
is the trial.
the
against
trial,
him.
yeah.
You submitted evidence supporting Assange in his ongoing trial,
Yeah.
extradition trial, right?
Yes, so I was supposed to testify, but the UK court's very different, and the prosecutor for the US didn't want to cross-examine me, which is pretty awesome.
This lab is lame.
But so instead, they didn't have to have me speak. They didn't want me to speak. And so the deal was that the lawyers would read my statement. It's the same thing they did with Jennifer Robinson and a few other witnesses. But they read, I had an 8-page statement and a transcript of some phone calls and things that were submitted, and they read that in open court today. And basically, in October 2018, I interviewed Julian Assange's mom, Christine. Lovely woman. Highly recommend following her on Twitter. But she was calling for a pardon for her son. Like, no big deal. Normal article. And at the time, I was in a DM group with a whole bunch of conservative influencers and people in the Trump campaign and, close to the administration. Ambassador Rick Grinnell was in it. Arthur Schwartz. Just a lot of powerful people and reporters and things, and just people in the campaign would post things in there that they wanted people to share or that they wanted people to see. So, no brainer, I put it in there hoping maybe I would find a sympathetic ear. I didn't. So 10 minutes later, I get this crazy call from Arthur Schwartz, who was doing communications for Rick Grinnell. I believe he still does. And if you Google him, he's known as Donald Trump Jr.'s fixer. And he's yelling at me. And we've always been friendly, so I'm like, what is going on? And he starts saying that a pardon's never going to happen, that they're going to go into the embassy to arrest Julian, that they're charging Julian based on the Manning release, not on DNC leaks or Vault 7, that he was a horrible person, and I didn't know all the terrible things that happened because of him. And he was saying that, if if you really understood this, you wouldn't be supporting him anymore. And people will understand that you've supported him up until now because you didn't know. But now that you know, if you continue reporting him, like basically you can't be in the cool crowd. You're not gonna. You're gonna be.
What were you supposed to know, or what was he claiming you knew now?
He was just telling me that he was a bad person, that WikiLeaks got people killed, which is not true. I mean, the Pentagon testified that was not true during the Manning trial, and the prosecution said that's not true during this trial. But
could it be the Pentagon was lying because they don't want to reveal that they were compromised?
Good.
Possibly, I couldn't really. But I argued with him that it was false, and I was like,
Great.
That's not true. And the U.S. government has said that's not true in the extradition case still. But he was insistent that Julian had done all these bad things. He had got people hurt, that he was reckless. He was comparing him to a drunk driver, saying that he was selfish and had no regard for other people. And
that's the kind of lie you say about
was
things you don't
basically
want to be
like,
published.
if you keep supporting this guy, you're not going to be in the cool MAGA club in D.C. anymore.
Cool
Like
MAGA
you're
club.
going to be, you're not going to get scoops. We're not going to share Gateway Pundit. We're not, it was an odd
Did you say
conversation, huh?
Do you say F you?
Yeah, well,
That's what
I
I'd say.
kept
I'd be like,
baiting
"Ah,
him
you're
because I wanted more information. So I was like, tell me
Right.
more, tell me more, keep telling me more. At
like
one
to
point
know
I
more?
did start to cry though, because he was screaming at me that Julian was going to spend the rest of his life in prison and that it wasn't journalism. And I was getting very frustrated, and I was saying, if you go into an embassy and rip him out, he's a political refugee technically. Like you'd be committing an act of war. And he was like, not if they let us. And so, I mean, I care about this case very deeply. And so it was upsetting to me.
I can understand why.
But as soon as I got off the phone, I think I called Chelsea and I was like, hey, I think they're coming after you. And then I went and I told Julian in person. And the State Department they were surveilling our meetings. So they heard everything that I told him. And Arthur, when I got back, Arthur told me that there was a State Department investigation and that he couldn't tell me anything anymore.
But voting will
because I had told
totally solve
Julian,
that,
he
guys,
said
I
to
swear.
Julian,
Just gotta vote
and,
another time and things will be better.
Sorry, there's like a mosquito, but
Yeah.
the woods.
Yep.
But yeah.
You shouldn't have said that it's the wood
Yeah,
or
so
the
they
mountain.
went and
Well, you
pulled
keep
him
saying
out,
everything is fine.
And I hit up
But now we
Arthur
know
again,
you
and I
live in
was
the
like,
mountain
hey, you
with
knew
some
this was
woods
gonna
around
happen.
it.
Can you tell me what's going on?
And you know it's an 8-hour drive
He
from
was
where
like,
you
he
lived
deserves the
before.
death
So
penalty. Everyone
I'm
involved
just
with
saying,
WikiLeaks
be more
deserves the
careful.
Death penalty, completely unhinged. And a few days after that, I think it was like April 15th, and he was arrested on the 11th. There was an article in ABC News, and it said that it was like buried way down in this article. It said that Rick Grinnell is the one who had worked out the deal for Julian's arrest. And so suddenly I was like, oh, that's how Arthur knew all this stuff that he told me in October. And I hit him up and I was like, hey, is this how you knew that? And he was like, and then, kept ranting about him being, deserving the death penalty. And the article also said that Grinnell only got a verbal pledge that there would be no death penalty. So I pointed that out, and he was like, well, he deserves,
What could he possibly get the death penalty for?
If they try and claim that people did get hurt, if they add new charges.
But Julian's not an American.
Well, the UN has warned repeatedly that they believe there's a chance that the U.S. could try and execute him because they could add terrorism charges, espionage charges, Patriot Act stuff. I mean, there's a slew of things that they could throw at him.
I gotta say, I'm convinced. Like, I understand. Trump is going after him because I think Trump wants to win the fight. He wants evidence that the story was bunk, and he probably wants to help himself. But I can only imagine if Joe Biden gets in, they'll kill him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hillary Clinton joked about droning him.
I don't think she was joking.
Well, I should clarify
She
that.
laughed about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's because she's evil.
But it is
not
like,
because it was a joke.
You realize Julian's in London, right? Like he's a couple blocks away from this really big shopping mall. It's like his famous mall. It's like down the street. It's like literally around the corner.
I think
You can't drone London. If Joe Biden gets in, the left absolutely hates WikiLeaks right now for some reason. Like, I guess because of Trump. I think WikiLeaks was working for the Russians. That is an incredible flip. I remember back in the day Julian Assange, hero of the left, anti-establishment, anti-war, exposing the war crimes, and then all it took was some intelligence asset individuals to go on MSNBC and say, oh, actually, that guy you like, Russia, he helped Trump. And then snap.
Yeah.
All of a sudden now they're like, let him burn.
Like 1984
Love this
hate
guy,
moment.
man.
But Trump was the one who ordered his arrest, at least according to Arthur. And
Even Trump said he loved WikiLeaks.
yeah, but he ordered his arrest, and people should be putting pressure on him to free him. Just saying.
I think Julian Assange, the story, is a modern day assassination story. And what I mean by that is we're not in the times where information was scarce. There's phones everywhere. There's somebody watching all the time. And if they went to get Julian
kidding
Assange
me.
to a first world city, then it would be a serious high-profile circumstance where it would make a martyr. They don't want to make a martyr. So what ends up happening is character assassination, absurd indictments. Then he gets arrested, so he knows they're going to try and extradite him. He was right the whole time. Julian went to the Ecuadorian embassy because he thought he was going to get extradited, right?
Yep.
And then sure enough, once they finally got him out, they were trying to extradite him.
And the media painted him as crazy for years. They were like, he has no reason to think this. He could walk out anytime. I mean, I had spent years arguing with people about this. People would tweet at me constantly, being he could leave anytime. He's not under arrest. He could leave whenever he wants. And Julian would always be like, no, I can't, though.
Yep.
And
They're
he
waiting.
was right. And
There was
It's
like, so
sad.
I actually met with him several years ago, and there was like a creepy black van chilling out in front. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure, like, as soon as I walked anywhere near that building, I'm pretty sure as soon as I got the message, the email, like, they immediately just ripped apart all of my, personal emails, all my files, like, all the intelligence agencies from all these different companies, the Five Eyes Spy Club.
did you take your phone to the embassy? Did they take your phone back then?
They did, yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
took my phone. I stopped. I didn't bring it for the later visits. I think the first visit I did, but they made
I
you
think I
give it
left it,
all the
actually.
numbers and everything, and they hold it up there. They were spying that whole time.
Yeah.
Like they were using your phone. All these journalists who got spied on. There's only like one who's even saying anything like, "Hey, you guys spied on me. What the hell?"
I remember that, yeah.
All these journalists who visited him over the years, though, silent, and they got spied on by the U.S. government while speaking to a political refugee.
Do
It's
you
insane.
Those
agree with me about
specters are
Biden, though?
gonna be
If Biden
such
wins?
help.
Oh.
what they'll do to Assange?
Oh yeah, I hate to even think about. I mean, I don't think that Trump is much better on this, but I do think that they will be worse.
I think Glenn Greenwald tweeted about this. Someone said, why would Donald Trump want to pardon Edward Snowden? And his response was because Trump is mad about how the intelligence agencies and these individuals smeared him with Russia. So yeah, he kind of wants revenge.
Right.
Isn't there a possibility like that Trump is just trying to get the information from Assange, but he wouldn't do what, say, like a Biden administration would do?
I don't know.
I mean, he offered him a pardon, Not that I agree with it. I think that's a violation, like a serious violation of journalistic freedoms and the First Amendment.
Right.
For us, the First Amendment, I know Julian Assange is not an American citizen, but this is kind of scary, the idea that the U.S. government could target a foreign person. Like, same thing they did with, they did with Kim.com.
Why wouldn't they?
Like, Kim.com was not an American. Why did American resources go into New Zealand and raid this guy's house? They did the same thing to Julian Assange. It's kind of scary when you realize the true power of the United States and their allies and what they'll do if you're not an American.
Yeah, Juice Rap News has a great video about that, where they have representatives from each government, and they're like, "We're America's bitch."
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Highly recommend looking for it though.
Yeah, but they don't do the rap news stuff anymore, Juice Media.
Yeah.
Now it's
Oh,
like
is
a
it?
lot. Like, they're I've talked to those guys before in the past, but now it's like for those who aren't familiar, Juice Rap News, in like 2010, made some of the most amazing political commentary music videos, like kind of poking fun at, but in a sense, sort of explaining the gist of some of these things. But now it's like a lot of stuff they produce is just your generic leftist, orange man bad.
I've only really watched
Yeah.
that one, but
They're doing the honest
Good.
government ads now, and it's like
that's what this was. This was like,
Oh, it was.
but it was a Julian Assange one.
Oh,
And it
okay.
was
Well,
brilliant,
that's good. I respect
spot
that.
on.
Because I got to tell you, man, going back into 2010, I remember all the hacker
2010,
stuff.
what a great
And that's
time.
basically how I know you. it's crazy how the hacker community was like the libertarian left.
Before I had my
And they were like, it was very
first
libertarian,
real
period.
long-term
But
girlfriend.
most of these people in the hacker community were not right wing. They were kind of libertarian but leaning left. The government started going after these people. They started giving ridiculous charges, and Julian Assange is like the remnant of that, I guess. He's still facing this desperate attack from the U.S. government against left libertarian style like hacker individuals, and they've successfully turned the left against WikiLeaks. When did the left become pro-war?
Under Obama.
Under Obama.
They didn't want to protest him doing the exact same thing that they protested Bush doing.
Clinton was pro-war. He was just
They
there
all
with
are.
a smile. I know.
Yeah.
The left became pro-war after World War II because they want to prevent World War III, so they set up military bases all over the earth.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. It's called the, they call it, Eisenhower called it the military-industrial complex.
Right. But what I'm saying is, I remember
The MIT.
Um,
No, the MIC.
early 2010s, people protested. I remember 2000s. War is bad. Bush is bad. War is bad. Then Obama gets in. War is good now.
Yeah, the
And
people that were screaming anti-war weren't left. They were like centrists. The people that I don't think they're
but
far
the left was on. So I'll tell you
They
what
were
it was.
maybe they were anti-Bush too.
No, it was because I was coming of age during Bush. I was a teenager during Bush, seeing all of these people claim to be my ally and my friend, saying war is bad, and I genuinely thought war was bad. I'm like, I look at this stuff and this is bad. And then as soon as Obama got elected, I'm still standing there holding the sign saying war is bad, and they go, we're gonna get out of here, and I'm like, but war is bad. Yeah, but our guy won, so it's all you,
Right,
buddy.
the
And they walk away.
identitarian split. You know,
Yeah.
It's not
the
identitarians, it's
identitarian
tribalists.
anti-war guys, because they'll go off with their candidate when he wins and go to
You
war
mean
with them.
tribalist?
Yeah, or whatever.
Identitarian is a
That's
reference
why
to
the
people
wing
that worship
people
someone.
hate centrists, because they'll know centrists will
anti-war
abandon them when
concept
they're
that
wrong, but they want
pervades.
complete
Forget
obedience. That's
who
what
they
sides
are.
want.
They're going to war. You got to turn on them. You got to stop the war.
Nobody's fully on my
I think there are
side, so
instances where
I'm
war
fully on
is
nobody's
unfortunately
side either.
wicked. I think there are a lot of instances where the U.S. is engaging in extremely stupid and bad war that's just bad for us. But it's like you get some zealot who wants to go and is mad about someone tried to kill his dad, and we end up in 20 years of war in the Middle East, which for what? Can we even talk about what we gained from this? And now all of a sudden I'm sitting here like, Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, I'm not going to vote for a Republican. I'm not Hillary Clinton. She wants war. And then Trump wins, and now he's the guy who hasn't started a war. He's the guy who's got historic peace agreements in the Middle East. He's the guy who's withdrawing our troops, and I'm like, I still think war is bad. Hello? Left? No.
Yeah.
They're complaining about Trump doing this. And you know what bothers me? Is that
Yeah, they are.
Like, I don't understand The Intercept, right? Glenn Greenwald's outlet, because he's complained about Russiagate. Here, Russiagate was nonsense. He complains about the media. I totally agree, Glenn. He says here's criticism of Trump, and I'm like, man, right there, you know. And then he says this is really great that Trump is ending war. I'm like, dude, Glenn, this is fantastic. So are we voting for Trump now? And he goes, no. His outlet starts putting out all this, Trump is bad. You know, the far left is good, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, tribalism. That's tribalism.
Yeah,
It's almost
Basically.
like Glenn Greenwald is part of that left libertarian hacker kind of thing that happened, and he is still he's pulled into this weird new left that is either identitarian or pro-war establishments, you know, cabal.
I think
like
he's
corporatist.
identitarian, Glenn Greenwald. He just doesn't like Trump.
I don't think he's an identitarian.
Well-
He criticizes the woke SJW stuff.
Right, but he dislikes Trump so much.
But
that
that's just tribalist.
Yeah.
That's just orange man bad.
Maybe I'm conflating the words identitarian
yeah.
and tribalist.
I think you're right. I think there's too many people on the left who refuse to accept that they are better off with Trump than with Joe Biden.
Yeah.
I don't care. That's what I was saying when you're talking about this phone call with Arthur. If someone called me and said that, I'd be like, yeah, F you, click. I don't care. I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care if it's Biden. I don't care if it's Hillary. You tell me something that's good, I'll give you credit for it. And if I think you're doing a good enough job, I will vote for you for it. The riots flipped me.
Yeah.
I was like, I remember last year, I was like, I'm never going to vote for this strike. Are you crazy? It'll never happen. Nothing will ever change my fires,
I knew you were going to change your
explosions.
mind.
And I'm like, so where's the vote for Trump box? Is this it? I'm going to press this button right here.
You said earlier you thought that some wars are good,
yep.
Yeah.
like
World War II.
defensive wars.
That's bad, but we have to do it.
Yeah.
Right? If we get invaded, which
Peace
we
is
never get
preferable
invaded,
on
well,
war,
maybe
but
like,
doesn't mean it is
if
better.
we go way back and talk about like the territories and stuff. You know, we've had conflict on our own ground, but in modern history, all of the conflicts we fought have been going other places. and it's usually been like we've had a lot of failures. The U.S. has had a lot of stupid failures.
Korea, Vietnam.
I wouldn't necessarily say Korea was a failure. I'm actually kind of happy the U.S. went to Korea because I have family. I probably wouldn't be here if the U.S. didn't intervene. But it still split the country in half. Vietnam was a disaster, and the Gulf of Tonkin was complete BS. What got us into the war was complete BS. Afghanistan and Iraq, complete disasters, and all the other stupid, excursions that we do in South and Central America. America does a lot of really dumb things for a lot of really dumb reasons. But World War II, I understand.
Hell yeah,
World War II is
brother.
I mean, look, right now here's one of the most difficult questions. We're looking at China. China's got concentration camps, man. They're harvesting organs. The things they're doing to these people is what nightmares are made of.
Yep.
Then we got the oppression in Hong Kong as well, and they're expanding. They're doing strike groups going through the South China Sea past Taiwan, and there's fears that they're going to try and seize Taiwan. They claim Taiwan is part of China. Taiwan says otherwise. There's going to be a major conflict. What do we do?
Felicity Strap.
I'm anti-intervention always.
Even if it's 1 million people having their organs harvested?
Always.
See, for me, I wouldn't say I'm absolutely against intervention, but when it comes to intervention, leaning away from it, but will entertain it if there's an atrocity happening.
Even when we went into war with the best intentions, there's always unintended consequences. I mean, look at what happened with Libya. We've went in there, we destabilized a whole bunch of things, and now they have open-air slave markets.
I know, that's...
Like, even if we're doing something and selling it to the public as
the
good,
greatest of great.
there's always going to be a drawback. And
Yep. And it will be America's fault every single time.
The US is directly threatened, or if it's in our national interest in a way that, there's no other option.
Should we have intervened in World War II?
No.
You don't
I
think
don't
so?
think so.
But,
And I don't think we should have entered World War I. And I think that
Yeah.
World War II wouldn't have happened without World War I.
that's an interesting point, because I was talking to Michael Malice about this, and I had a very generic, ignorant
Screw
view
me
of World War
backward
I, and I
with
need to do my homework on it.
many
He mentioned it was
unpleasant
a war of
things.
alliances.
Yeah.
World War II was clear cut. Like this, what Nazi Germany was doing was just like evil.
Well,
Oh yeah.
we didn't even enter World War II to stop the Holocaust. People didn't even know about the stuff that was happening. The debate here was America First people, and there was actually an America First committee back then. It disbanded right when Pearl Harbor was attacked, but the argument was about whether or not we should be engaging in European conflict, and whether or not we should be
Let's get my
helping
level
England.
before I go to a
It
bus
had
style
nothing to
event.
do with stopping atrocities, because nobody knew, and a lot of this didn't start until later. So
Sure.
that's not why we entered World War II. We entered World War II to help England. And
Hindsight,
technically we entered because Pearl Harbor got attacked,
Right.
but they had been pushing for it because.
Well, I think it's fair to point out we got attacked by Japan and then sent soldiers to Europe.
Right.
But I mean, hindsight being 2020, and I think that's not necessarily the best point. I think it ended up being good.
Yes.
We ended what they were doing, but now we know what China is doing.
like I don't
So
have
I'm
the
not
choice.
saying we should have an intervention into China or anything like that.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, I think absolutism is dangerous. Like, to reject all war all the time.
I support defending our country.
For sure,
I
for
support defending our borders. I support if there's something that's in our national interest that is unavoidable, I support it in that case. And I'm not going to sit here and say that it was bad to stop Nazi Germany,
Right.
but I do think that there were consequences of that. And I think that, look at Dresden, look at what happened, look at what happened all over Germany and how many people died and how many of our people died for something that had nothing to do with us. And
Well, they were killing a lot of people, so a lot of people ended up living because we came in and stopped
and
them.
I fully agree with that. It's just there are consequences to these things, and now because of World War II and that being successful, they argue this for every intervention. They
Yes,
say, well,
without dying.
You wanted Hitler to win? Would you want to be speaking German right now? And so they've used this to justify everything that's come later, and so a lot of people have died because of it.
I agree.
Yep.
I agree.
That's just my opinion.
I agree. I think there's been a
We
lot of
gave power
mistakes
to the
where
Communist
the US
Party
has
to
intervened and
oppress
failed, and then World War II
countless
becomes
people.
the, like, key example of why it's good, because that was really important that ended, you know, that we shut those people down. The challenge now is like, how do we deal with China? I mean, look, I don't believe the United States are the world's police, but I do have a concern that we're watching China arm up. We're watching them abuse their neighbors. Potential war with India could happen, and India is an ally of ours. And so we're seeing the atrocities they commit. We're seeing them defy international law and norms, setting up military bases on the South China Sea atolls and things like that, or the Pacific atolls. They're spreading, encroaching, and becoming more and more powerful. I don't like the idea of just intervention. We don't like what they're doing. They may threaten us. Preemptive war. That's a terrible idea. But if the other side of that coin is, if we sit back while they expand in South America and Africa, gaining resources and buying out all these countries, eventually you'll be living in an authoritarian communist country.
And China is an interesting case because I think they own farmland in the U.S. that I think is equal to the size of Ohio. My boyfriend, Brett McDonald, has wrote about this extensively. But they are buying a lot of land here, and I don't agree with that either. And I think China is an interesting case, and there is, you know, there are arguments to be made for intervening there. But when you're talking about intervention broadly, you have to think about why you care about these atrocities, because there's atrocities all over the world at any given time.
Yeah.
I mean, look what
That's a very good point,
Yemen.
Cassandra.
But they don't want you to care about Yemen. They want you to care about Venezuela. Why is that? And so they pick and choose the atrocities that they want to highlight and the ones that we need to save people from. And there's always another motive for it. And I guarantee that the weapons manufacturers are not concerned about the fact that people are starving. That's not why they want to go there. So.
Yeah, we've had drone strikes in Yemen. We had Obama killing Americans. Abdul Rahman al-Awlaki, I believe, was in Yemen, killing an American citizen without charge or trial, and then saying, "Oopsie."
Well, Luke got that great video. He confronted his press secretary and
Luke
was like,
Rudkowski of We Are Change.
Yeah, he was like, any comments about the fact that you guys killed an American teenager? And I think it was his press secretary was like, he should have had a different father.
A better dad.
A better father,
better dad. Is that why he was killed?
Yeah.
In my opinion. Maybe it's a little bit conspiratorial, but I kind of feel like, for those that aren't familiar, there's a man named Anwar al-Awlaki. He was preaching jihad against the U.S. Obama drone striked him. And then 2 weeks later, I think it was, in a country we were not at war with, they drone striked a civilian restaurant, killing his 16-year-old son, who I believe was born in like Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah, it was Colorado.
That sounds to me like Obama saying, "We will kill your children if you F with us."
Yeah.
The official story was, we were targeting someone else. It was a mistake. The question is, why were we targeting someone at a civilian restaurant in a country we are not at war with? Because they don't care. Yeah,
that's a good
like
question,
the
Tim.
magnifying glass from above, just dropping a bomb on a restaurant, and that stuff causes harm to America. It's
destroying America's reputation.
Like, could you imagine you blow up a restaurant? There's going to be people there. Like, some dad's going to watch it. He's going to be across the street. It's going to be movie-esque, and he's going to see a restaurant get blown up. And they're going to see the drone. They're going to be panicking. His kid's going to be gone. And that guy's going to become radicalized in an instant. And he's going to do everything in his power against us because somebody made a mistake to go with the establishment narrative. I can't claim otherwise. I have no evidence. But then all of a sudden, you end up with terror, conflict, and refugees. People fleeing these countries, their homes destroyed. And that creates even more conflict. And you know what? There are people who thrive on this stuff. They love it. They profit off of it. And the rest of us suffer because of it. So anyway,
well, that's why WikiLeaks is so important.
I'm not saying
they show you the true cost of war, and then you can make an informed decision as a public.
But to be fair, I mean, with WikiLeaks, how often have they released documents on China?
I'm not actually sure, but they've released a lot of documents that don't get as much exposure as U.S. stuff.
For sure.
I mean, they've released tons of files on even Russia. People are always like, how come they've never done anything on Russia? And there are cables on Russia. Like, go on their website and search. You'll find anything there.
I think there was like one point where someone asked Julian that or something, and he was like, these files are already public. They're like, why didn't you release these files? They were public. Someone sent us files that were already public, so we ignored it.
Actually, let's go buy some gems.
And I think Julian probably does what he thinks, or he was. I don't know what his capacity is now because of what's happening to him. But he probably focused on what he thought was the most important. And I'm not saying you have to agree with what he thinks is important. But I will argue that one of the views of one of the arguments against WikiLeaks is that he was consistently targeting the U.S. And if you're only hitting us over and over and over again, it's going to be helping our adversaries.
That's not true, though. They just don't.
That's
give
not
as
true
much
though.
coverage.
Right.
You know,
Funny
he's
stuff.
released all kinds of things.
Funny,
from all
funny.
different nations all over the country, but we're not going to talk about those cables as much here. I mean, you can pull up WikiLeaks right now and type in any nation, and you're probably going to find thousands of documents.
Yeah.
It just depends what our media wants to cover, and our media isn't interested in things that are anti-war or things that make certain governments look bad. So, I think
Hear
that
all the
people are blaming
voice.
Julian for the failings of the media on that argument.
Definitely.
Because
the New York Times got us into the wars, and other big mainstream outlets, they lied to us. Man, it's funny how a lot of my political views were shaped by growing up during this time, and it's kind of crazy when I think about how much I don't know from even 10 years before I was born. Like the context of how the media operated. I wonder if I was 10 years older and I saw the flip, how it's like pro-war under Democrat, then anti-war under Bush, and then pro-war under Obama again. I would have been sort of insulated from seeing, from believing that the Democrats had my best interest, that they really thought war was bad. Yeah. And then I learned the hard way. I love it. When I voted for Obama in 2008, I'm like smiling with my friends, and I was like, I was
Oh no, there's a call button in the interface now. I hate that.
Left. And then people were telling me like, dude, Obama's not one of these establishment people. He's like an up-and-coming dude. He's a regular guy. And I'm like, cool. And I went in and I'm like, yeah, Obama. And then the first thing Obama does when he gets inaugurated is I think it was an airstrike on a killing women and children. And I was like, wait a minute, what? You told me that was bad. They're like, no, it's good. It's like, what do you mean it's good? You told me nonstop it was bad. I voted for this guy.
These are hope and change drones.
Oh, that's right. The drone, the missile said hope, and the Reaper said said hope, and the Hellfire said change.
Oh, Dungeon of Nullbooks got a new
when they got in, they did that
update.
Let's Move campaign. I don't know if you guys remember, Michelle Obama had a Let's Move campaign, and it was originally about cutting sugar out of your diet, and the sugar industry did not like that, so they got their fingers in there and then switched it and made it into an exercise campaign. That sugar industry is insidious, man. It's one of the most addictive drugs on earth.
Sugar!
And it's like the tobacco industry of the 70s
People don't realize
selling
this.
sugar to kids.
All war.
Got such a
all conflict, all conspiracy.
drop in my views suddenly.
Big
Weird.
sugar.
I was wondering,
like a guy selling candy canes with shifty eyes.
you know how there's this military-industrial complex that they built after World War II? It was like the British and the English and the French just wanted to prevent World War III. I wonder if there's a Chinese military-industrial complex that we don't hear anything about.
Oh, yeah.
Or if it's all one complex.
Do you know the name of the Chinese state, spy agency?
No.
They just call it Beijing. Yeah. What was it? That was in a show. Someone was talking about it, but it's a good point. Like the CIA, the KGB, or what is the Russian thing now? FSB, I think.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I don't.
And they just say Beijing. I think it's like a Mission Impossible movie or something. Unless there actually is a name. I know they have they just call it like the state ministry of like service or something like that.
Why
But
give it a
definitely
name?
Trump was talking about this.
Straight up.
Now, you got to admit, war is bad. But don't you love Trump's blunt honesty on this stuff? Because one of my all-time favorite things Trump has ever done was when he walked up to the reporters, and they're like, what's going on with this weapons deal? Oh, it's really great. We're giving all of these weapons to Saudi Arabia. We're going to make a lot of money, And then all the anti-war people were like...
I was horrified.
But he just said it.
Yeah.
He just came out and admitted war profiteering, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like...
Yeah.
He also calls out the military-industrial complex. Like, he's done it twice now, and
At least now people
he's
know
talking
about it,
Syria,
which
and
I guess is a good
You
thing.
know what I love? I think he does it on purpose to get at them. Trump wanted to withdraw from Syria.
Yeah.
And they all started complaining, oh no, the oil. So Trump left soldiers in, and now he's just like, we're withdrawing our troops from Syria, but we're keeping the oil, so the soldiers are still there to guard the oil. That's what we're doing. But we're getting I think he's saying it specifically as that's what the U.S. is doing. Like, that's what they wanted. They complained when he wanted to get our troops out, and that's what we're there for.
Oil and the hair with the poppy seeds, basically.
In Afghanistan.
Which is how they make opium.
We can't grow poppy here? I don't know.
No.
Lemon poppy.
Otherwise we would.
Fantastic.
They're delicious.
Yeah.
Other than oil and poppy seeds, I don't know why we're over there.
All right, well, we got a bunch of super chats, but I got a question. What do you think is going to happen November 3rd?
Oh, I think Trump's going to win. Easy.
But you don't think they're cheating?
Well, I mean, that's possible, but
Yeah,
I also
they'll
thought they were gonna
delay,
cheat in
interfere.
2016,
Yeah.
and he still won.
Yeah, but look at all this mail-in voting stuff. It does feel like they're cheating.
I mean, you're with me on election night. I think
That's
I
awesome.
won the office pool because everybody went for Hillary, and I'm the one person over there. I walked in, and they were all like, "You're gonna have such a bad night tonight. I'm so sorry," all condescending.
And I was laughing. I was laughing. I didn't vote for Trump. I didn't care. I was just like comeuppance because I was for Bernie, and before you were for Trump, you were for Bernie, and so when I think Bernie sold out as of recent, but when they stole it from him, and then I was just like, you know what? I'm so over this. Obama, tricked me. I felt duped by that. Then Bernie comes along, and I'm like, all right, here's a guy who's consistent, and then he's doing the same thing. The DNC steals it. When Hillary lost, I was just loving it. I was laughing.
They sent me home. They were like, "You can go, just go." I was supposed to work until 3 a.m.
Dude,
So I took the pot money, like the office pool money, and went and bought up all the champagne at Trump Hotel just to spend their money on it.
I remember sitting there with you, and we were looking at the meter that was like 99%.
A resurrection, how can this go bad?
And you were starting to cry once it crossed 50%, and I started laughing. I'm like, how is this happening? And then I remember like everyone in the office, like all these liberals were like in the beginning, they were like being sassy and mocking Trump and laughing like, because Trump announced he was going to sue Nevada or something. And there was that one guy goes like, "Oh, here it comes." And they're all laughing. And then when that New York Times meter started shifting towards Trump, the looks on their faces go white. All of a sudden, there are people, they're sweating.
Yeah.
You're like almost laughing and crying tears of joy. And I'm just laughing. All these people are like crying about it. Like, dude, why is your identity tied so much to this?
Yeah.
I don't understand. This
know.
world is so beautiful
You
and
can do
vast.
so much without politics. Like,
I don't know. I think it's pretty important this year.
I agree. I'm just saying, like, I tell you what, if Trump loses, this is why I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm gonna take care of myself. It's funny because I'm like bordering on prepper. I got all.
Was this a
emergency
masturbation
food.
joke?
To be honest, it's like hamburger helper kind of stuff. So it's good stuff. Yeah.
They sell prepper food at my country store, at the country store by my house. It's like the closest place to my house because I'm really deep out there. But
Spam lasts for 5 years. Yeah. Luncheon meat.
I'm vegetarian. I got to do vegetarian prepping.
Well, it's like
fried chickpeas.
I'm not.
See how long they last.
I'm not saying I think the world's going to end tomorrow. I'm just saying I think if Joe Biden wins, the erosion of civil liberties, the loss of ability to defend yourself, I think it's going to shift dramatically away from individual rights towards mob justice, morality policing, and identitarianism. So for me, I think I just want to be left alone.
Yeah.
I want to live my life. I want to do my thing. That's who I am. I'm a skateboarder. Skateboarders are individualist for the most part. We do our thing. Just please let me live my life. And I think a lot of Americans feel that way. If Joe Biden wins, you will get the opposite of that. This guy who got indicted for defending himself from being attacked, the homeowners who are getting arrested, the mob will show up to your house, and Joe Biden's going to be like, the thing. So when so I'll address.
Don't you dare do the thing. They're doing their thing. Don't interrupt them.
You mentioned this is Trump's America. What's happening right now? It is. Well, these things are happening in Democrat-controlled places for the most part, not Republican-controlled places. It is Trump's America, but Trump is taking a hard stance against it and offering up all of the resources at his disposal to shut it down. It's the best he can do without the Insurrection Act. The Democrats are saying no and watching everything burn. Here's what scares me. If Joe Biden gets in, you think he'll offer up federal resources? No, he'll do what the Democrats are doing. He'll say the exact same thing they're saying. We support peaceful protests. That's right. Congratulations.
Dagodan 2020, tout cramé.
You covered Ferguson.
Léo Dagodan 2020, tout cramé.
They sent in the National Guard and then everybody to shut that down. That was Obama who did that, and they didn't cry about it the way that they are with Trump. I think he'll do this. I think they'll do the same thing.
If that's the case, then I will double down on voting for Trump because I do not vote based on threats.
Yeah.
If the argument is that once they get in power, then they'll agree to stop the riots, then I'm going to say F you and I'm going to go vote for Trump.
Right. And I think they've been doing that. I mean, look what they did with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. They were like,
yeah, we're going to burn it down.
Yeah.
How, Joe Biden's trying so hard to get away from the riots. He's like begging. I'm not about rights. I'm not about rights. And then Ruth Bader Ginsburg passes, and all of a sudden, all these leftists are like, "We're gonna destroy the country." And now Trump's going to have all of that. All of it.
Yeah.
And then they're going out and rioting again. So I do think it's dumb when Trump says in Biden's America this will happen, and I'm like, but it's happening now.
Yeah, that's my point. But
I think it's fair. There's a possibility that once the Democrats get power, like Hillary Clinton said, remember, we can have civility once we've won. That's a threat.
That is.
You come to me and tell me to it's like this. If I'm sitting down and you come to me and go, if I'm sitting down and you walk up to me and say, keep sitting there, I'll stand up.
Yeah.
You tell me to, if I'm sitting down, you tell me to stand up, I'll say no, and I'll cross my legs.
Well,
Yeah.
You know me. I'm a hermit. I do not.
I'm a
like going
contrarian
out.
too,
I
Tim.
don't like leaving my house.
Respect.
I like to be at home doing nothing. But then as soon as I had to stay home and couldn't leave my house, I was like, I need to go to a bar. So, same.
I was staying home and people were like, "There's a quarantine." Oh, since when?
I wouldn't let into 10 just because we had that first 20 minutes.
I've been living like that since 2016, mofos.
Hopefully it's working now. I guess it's working, right?
I think so.
Hopefully.
Yeah, chat seems to be happy.
We'll read some of the super chats. There's probably going to be a lot.
I do
better
quarantine
explaining,
12 months every year.
The first
People
super chat we
don't
have
come
from Matthew
and
says,
butter
Cassandra
me.
is great on camera and changed my mind on Assange and Snowden.
Oh.
Both must be pardoned. Non-political question. What are your thoughts on Microsoft buying Bethesda? Will you
Ooh.
buy an Xbox Series X? No.
Interesting
and
debate.
I'm really sad about Bethesda because I feel like the past few games have been kind of meh.
Yeah.
Meh.
Actually, I mean, I'm really excited for the new Elder Scrolls.
This is the first I've
No.
heard of this.
No, I don't want to be excited for it. I don't even want to be excited for it. If it's good, it's good. I won't lie about it, I swear. But I don't
That's the only
want to
video
get
game
hyped
I've
about
played.
something.
Corporation makes me a little nervous because you
That-
don't need a lot of money to make a great game. But Fallout 76 sucked.
Yeah, it did.
Where's my
All right,
refund?
let's see. Colin P says YouTube sent David Pacman a cake for reaching 1 million subs. Why didn't you get a cake, Tim? Cakegate. I didn't get a cake. I did get one of those big golden award things, and my second channel is like 50K subs away from another million.
Maybe
So
they'll send you a cake.
you know what? Congrats to David Pacman. He's he does hard work and he's got a great show. And
I'll
I wish him
bring
the
you
best.
over a cake.
David,
We'll have I don't want to eat cake, man.
shout out to
Um,
David Pacman. How'd you get that cake, man?
To David?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
What
gotta
kind
be
of
honest.
cake was it?
They could
Was
they
it
could
good?
send me like a nice array of flavored meats.
Oh,
You know?
now we're talking.
Yeah, so like we had the exotic jerky for the show for a while.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have it here now, but we have like alligator and like ostrich and stuff. So
I
if
love
YouTube wants to send
alligator.
me some like ostrich jerky or like kangaroo or something,
Don't eat kangaroos. They're so cute.
they're
They
ripped.
carry their babies. Oh, you're terrible.
We have vegan jerky. We have vegan jerky.
I love vegan jerky.
Yeah,
I'll
the
eat
mushroom
primal
one
strips
is-
all day.
The mushroom one is really good. Yeah.
Yeah, you like
Here we go. We got some more here. Six Umper Tyrannus says, Dems' rhetoric is pushing civil war. Don't pop that cork, for there won't be any ROEs for you to hide behind from men like me. We will defend our family, country, and freedom to the death from anyone. I gotta say, man, I think conservatives really do overestimate their ability to win a civil war.
I was very confident about 3 months ago. And
Yeah,
now I'm
I
very
agree with Tim on
concerned
this one, though.
because the police keep following orders to arrest business owners and people in their own homes. And it's like, the right always says the police and the military will side with us, but they're not. And it just depends on if they're in a Democrat city or a Republican city.
And what happens when
And who's giving the...
what happens when all the tech infrastructure shuts down for all the conservatives?
Yeah.
What happens when every
Yep.
single TV in the country they go
Blame
on the air and it's Joe
conservative.
Biden giving an address saying Donald Trump has lost the election and is now trying to stage a coup when in fact Trump won.
Right.
People are going to be like, Biden won. He said it. I believe it, and that's it.
Get your
End of story.
ham radios now, ladies and gentlemen.
I think
Yep.
out here we could hold our own for a while. I mean, they talk about Antifa coming into my neighborhood at the country store and stuff, and they're like, "We're waiting, we're ready, we're locked and
I don't
loaded.
think they'll
Bring
come
it
out
on." No, they
Yeah.
wouldn't. But
We should all avoid civil war, man.
Yeah.
It could go on for like 12 years. It could be the most destructive, bloody,
It
Could
could
be- and
sh-
then-
s-
And then another country could come in and take over our country in the middle of it.
Fallout style.
I wouldn't be opposed to a peaceful separation, though.
I think it's a bad idea. I think just because we have, the progressives make up like 8 to 10% of the country. You have regular liberals who aren't paying attention. I swear, man. I've mentioned this several times, but I had a long 2-hour conversation with a friend of mine who's very progressive, and we were talking about, she doesn't want to vote for Biden because she hates him, but she won't vote for Trump. And I said, I'm going to vote for Trump. And then she mentioned something about he's inciting the violence. He's making it worse. And she said, look at Kyle Rittenhouse, a white supremacist who goes to this place to kill peaceful protesters. And I was like, no.
I got suspended from Twitter for saying that he did nothing wrong.
He's not been convicted of a
We're
crime.
screwed.
Right. So here, exactly. That's my point. I was like, people like my friend don't know. They haven't seen the videos. They haven't looked at the evidence. But the progressives are manipulating them.
Yeah.
And the progressives are a tiny fraction. We cannot give up New York simply because progressives are manipulating the media. And I think maybe
Why not?
they're probably thinking the same thing about Biden. But if there's a Trump landslide on par with Reagan, just 49 states or whatever, maybe that'll finally shock all of these businesses. Hey, you're going to lose money. You're going to shut down. You can't do this. The problem is how many of the cultists work within these companies already and can use existing law against them.
Yeah.
Civil rights law exists and can be weaponized. We got a super chat here from DJ Zeno. He says, holy crap, Tim. I feel your frustration with the tech. Legit watching your concentration face made me think of myself running the entirety of the assemblies of my high school. 2,000 kids. Name's Gavin. I work in SMT in Seattle. Use this for cables. We'll get it fixed. It is what it is. These things happen.
Thanks, Gavin.
Jerry Kent says, there's no other podcast I'd rather watch troubleshoot. How awesome was that?
I agree.
William Mazak says, as much as the Trump supporter in Portland should have let everyone know how this is, Jake Gardner is my last stand. Never forget Jake Gardner. It's a sad story, man. It's terrible. Keckman says, here's some money so your business succeeds. If you can, in any way possible, tell Joe to have Trump. No matter if Joe then doesn't show up. Trump must show. Also, I used to be a teacher, and not all are leftists, radicals. Some want to teach the right way, but they are trying to stop us. Yeah, I think that's probably true.
They're pulling all the stuff.
Have you talked to him about it at all?
I don't know.
You should definitely push that.
On that.
I'm not gonna.
Don't do that for real. But
Yeah,
Joe, have him on, man. That's going to be the bomb.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Did you?
I agree.
You mentioned teachers. Did you hear about the school teacher who got suspended? I believe he got suspended or fired for assigning a homework paper where they had to pick a hero, and one of the options was Kyle Rittenhouse. The others were George Floyd.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it was both. It was there was a political divide here.
Yeah, you can't even have a debate in your classroom anymore.
Nope.
It's
Yep.
one side, and that's it.
And then there didn't the teacher say she wished Trump supporters would all die of COVID or something, and they got suspended?
Yeah.
It happens sometimes to these leftists, but the problem, as I mentioned, with the valve that it only ratchets towards the left, is that they have to make a big leap before it shocks the system. And so long as they keep clicking one at a time, it just keeps getting worse, and they get away with it
Mhm.
to the point where Antifa can go around and the media won't talk about it.
Overturn
Go
a
on
window.
beating people and starting fires. And you can
Always
make a big
switching
rise.
to the
And
left
news cycle
slightly.
moves so fast. I mean, Jessica Whittaker was murdered for saying all lives matter, and we only talked about her for 2 weeks. And
that's
everybody
right.
moved on because
I
the
mean,
news
but-
cycle you can't
But
keep up.
It's not even that. The mainstream media didn't care about her.
That's true.
So for those that aren't familiar, she said all lives matter. Someone said Black Lives Matter. They shot and killed her.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
they were walking away. Yeah. Where was that?
She was
New
a
York
young
Times
mom.
don't talk about it.
Yeah. Fox News barely even mentioned it.
When
They
was
don't
that
want to
and where was
incite
that?
It was
race
in
riot, I
Indiana-
understand.
Indianapolis.
Or at
what,
least
a month
racial
ago? No,
tensi-
Indianapolis.
Yeah.
racial
I
motivated
have,
tension.
Aligners in, and it's really hard to talk.
Right, you just got your wisdom teeth out?
Well, I got them out a while ago, but it made my teeth shift, so I finally caved and got the clear braces,
Wow.
and I can't speak properly.
How long will you wear them?
12 weeks, and tomorrow will be 5 weeks.
Has it altered your diet at all?
Yeah, because it's pain to take them out and put them back in and brush your
Oh.
teeth and do the whole thing. So
Should you
Well.
just eat less or something?
yeah, gonna lose some weight hopefully.
Yeah,
It's
do
like
fasting.
a twofer.
So we have a self-defense post here. Bear Post says, please give half to charity. Legally, you have to save your own life and retreat. The bedroom door locked is fine. They break in, you shoot. I'm sure there might be different, things for different states, but. And also, if you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe. And,
Already
You
did.
want to mention your Twitter handle real quick?
It's Cassandra Rules, and I write for Gateway Pundit, and I have a website,
Aha,
that I'm
waypoint.
gonna start using a little more frequently.
And we're going to be hanging out a lot more because now we're far away, but closer than we were before.
Yeah.
So And you know, I wish I could pan one of the cameras, show you like
Oh, I know.
the ladder.
Go
and
on
the leveling
Tim's
bar.
Instagram because he has a shot of the
Right.
not
2
of the
shots.
chaos over there, but a nice wide view of the.
We're building it. Tomorrow we'll get all the sound working properly. It's I guess we're okay for now. Hopefully.
I mean, I
can't
can't
tell.
believe you guys got this done as quickly as you did. I was over here and it was just like a plain room.
It was an empty room.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I'm so surprised.
Andy's
The
a
walls were
magician.
just regular walls, and now it's just really cool like wood or whatever. And you can't see what's behind me, but it's really amazing stuff. I'm so impressed. It was Andy. It's,
You
the
better
one
be,
guy,
Tim.
one
You
guy
worked
did
for it.
all this in a day,
Good
so
for you.
Talk
Magic.
about skilled, man.
And he's a drummer.
Yeah.
Rock on.
DeWeed says this year has definitely strengthened our 2A rights guaranteed. I absolutely think that's the case, 100%. Other man says, I'm not going to foolishly believe they are stupid. You know these people are in it to watch the world burn. If Trump gets in, they have carte blanche permission to openly rebel, considering how they started, how they stacked the deck. Yeah. Somebody mentioned there's a 4,000 hertz hum in the background at 9, so it's probably still there. What can we do about it?
Oh.
You notice anything?
No.
Take 3 Tylenol says fastest move. I out-processed, deep cleaned, and moved out of on-base housing over 3 days.
Wow.
Terry S says, hey Tim, keep your eyes on Louisville. All federal courthouse have been closed, and the LMPD has canceled all days of and already blocking roads off.
They declared
Oh.
a state of emergency preemptively because they have an
Whoa.
announcement coming up in the Breonna Taylor case. I was tweeting about this right before I came over here. But
What's the break? Do you know what the update's going to be?
but
I
if
think
they're
the cops
doing
are in
this,
trouble.
yeah. I mean, they
Information
didn't-
came out that apparently Breonna was connected to the drug dealer. Did you see that?
I saw bits of
Oh.
it, but
Yeah.
I'm all over the place lately. So
Rubatano says, I don't know about there, but here in Minnesota, duty to retreat dictates you must retreat if safe to do so. If you are at a door with family or friends inside, you do not have to retreat from that position because it could put them in danger. Interesting. J-Mac says, it's not Trump's America. It's America's America. We live in a republic, and the citizens of these states need to make a change. Either vote out these toxic politicians or make enough noise so they are forced to listen. Keep the Fed in check. Well, the left, I think, wants to totally federalize. They want to just erode the concept of the state. They want national popular vote voting, which then means this massive country of 50 different states will be beholden to Chicago, Los Angeles, and New York.
yeah.
That's not going to be fun.
No, that would be mob rule because you could make
Right.
an internet video that goes viral and then everyone would vote for it the next day. It'd be
Yep.
crazy.
That's why people they don't realize the states vote for the president.
Yeah.
They don't like it.
Oh,
They don't understand how it works, and I think a lot of them are just dumb and just do whatever.
greases
they're told,
lightning,
basically.
yeah.
I've had a lot of democracy versus republic debates in the past couple days.
I used to be a hardcore, like, true democracy, like,
Mob
majority
rule,
vote.
dude.
Yeah, and then I
Yeah.
realized how
One
dangerous.
person, one vote.
No,
That was,
I'm not.
that was the motto. No,
Yeah.
I am not either. Trust me.
But the representatives sometimes can be such morons. So it's like how that's.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
like they're
That's
in there
the
for
problem.
years. If you make the wrong move, they're in there for 2 years. I mean, you can get them out, I guess, with a referendum, right?
I don't think that people.
I don't know.
I don't think voters take voting seriously enough. I think it was Socrates who said that voting was a skill and it had to be learned, and you had to
I
study
agree with that
really
so
understand
hard.
your civic duty and your options.
I'd give up my
I don't
right
think
to
people do
vote
that
just
anymore.
to
They
make
just,
sure
like,
we
see a move and
have
they're like, oh, orange went
skill
back,
set
or,
of voting
oh,
implemented.
Biden is actually the real KKK or whatever. You know, it's people have very like petulant political views now,
I bet.
and
Yeah.
it's dangerous.
It would be very cool to have in schools, like in first, second, third grade, little like vote where they vote for a representative. Of
we
their
did
area
that.
of
They
I
do
did
class.
that in second grade.
And
It
there's
was
model
great.
UN, and there's class president, and they.
But when you,
You know,
do
I was
that,
talking to a family member once.
I don't think they do that anymore. By the way,
Probably not.
they didn't do it for my daughter.
So I was talking to I was out to eat with some extended family. It was a cousin of mine and her entire family, and they were like, "You're doing news. It's really awesome. Congratulations." It was years ago, and their daughter, who was like 13 or 14, was just like not paying attention, and they made a joke about how she didn't care about news, and I was like, I can make her understand and care about news, and they laughed, and she was like, "No, you can't," and I was like, "Well, I'll put it this way." I was like, think of like you're in high school now, yeah? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, who's like the worst person you know in school? And she was like, and then she like said a name. And I was like, okay, now imagine the school came and told them they get to make the rules for you. And she went, and I was like, that's politics. So we're all adults, and there's these really awful people we know, and they're making the rules for us, and we're like, just like you just did. And she was like, oh. And I'm like, so that same way you care about like the people in your class and how they mess with you and like lie about you, imagine like we feel the same way about the people in our class, but our class is like our jobs and our local council meetings and stuff like that.
Our life,
And
our society, our tax.
And I'm like, you're not going to care that I'm talking about war, but you understand the concept of someone being given power at your school who's like a really bad person. And there you go. Welcome to politics. When you're older, you'll be looking at it the exact same way, but it'll be different subject matter. We got a question for Cassandra. Crescent says, question to Cassandra Fairbanks. If Tulsi Gabbard is anti-war, why does she endorse Joe Biden? Conversely, why hasn't she praised President Trump for peace deals, not starting any new wars and withdrawing troops? Curious.
I think she has, hasn't she?
She may have. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I want to say that she has praised Trump when he's done things. that were
Yeah,
good.
she voted in favor of his move
Yeah,
to pull the troops
and
out of the Middle
everybody
East.
was losing their minds because
was
she
three-
sided with Trump.
3 Democrats and 8 Republicans.
She also went on TV, I think it was MSNBC too, the day that Julian Assange was arrested and lobbied for him to be immediately released. She really goes against the grain. They lost
Okay,
out.
there's
She's
some
awesome.
black
Because I
sparrows
think
that
she
actually
understands,
hurts you.
like, if they listened to her, I think in a lot of ways she's not exactly what I've
Stupid
envisioned
projectiles.
for the perfect candidate.
Right.
I think if you took Donald Trump and you toned it down, cleaned it up, then you would have a landslide no matter what. No one could stop him. But and I think Trump supporters need to heed this warning because Trump really does put his foot in his mouth a lot. And regular people, as much as they like what he does, do complain about his constant behavior and his insults and the attacks and the mudslinging.
Those are my favorite parts.
But that's why Trump has the really hardcore vocal base where they love that he goes after and he's basically fighting for you. But there are a lot of people, probably the South
Great, I
liberal,
made it. Oh, I
who
have
won't
5
speak
for
up and
potion
defend
as
him
well
because
that I
deep down
didn't
they're like,
use.
"Oh,
My
I can't
bad.
believe he's doing it again, but I'll take it. I'll take what I can get."
That's
you know?
exactly in my boat. Yeah, because when he says stuff like, if you burn the flag, you should get a year in prison, that stuff makes me not want to vote for him. Makes me dislike him and think he's like
I
ignorant.
didn't read the
But
quest,
I
didn't
still
I?
can't vote for Biden. And I can't imagine a world with that guy.
My favorite analogy was Bridget Fettis's article where someone sent her an email saying, I feel like I'm drowning, and in order to stay afloat, I have to grab onto this giant floating turd. And I know Trump supporters don't feel that way because Trump, like, to his base, he really is like the perfect candidate in a lot of ways. I don't necessarily agree because I think the Middle Eastern peace deals and withdrawing troops is not a floating turd. It's like a floating cupcake. It's like drowning and seeing a lifeboat, and I'm going, yes. And the lifeboat has weird, crazy, like 80s style tiger print, and it's like weird looking, and I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. It's a life raft.
Yeah.
If it ends the wars, if it gets our troops back, count me in.
Yeah, I mean,
Same.
like I've said, I'm really unhappy with what he's doing with Julian, but at the same time, I don't have that many complaints about him either. And you got to think about America first. So yeah,
Yep.
I don't hate him. I want to be madder than I am about a lot of things, and it's just like, man, he's bringing troops home. And
I don't understand how there is a counter to the idea of America first, like it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I'm not a staunch nationalist. Like, you know, I don't know if have you guys taken the 8 values test?
No.
You have?
Yeah.
I'm like leaning towards like I'm in the middle. I'm like very in the middle between international and national because I believe in like international cooperation, working with our allies. But the idea that we as tax-paying citizens would be beholden to other people before ourselves is ridiculous.
Aberrant.
The Flint crisis is still happening.
Right.
We've never fixed the pipes in Flint. Certainly, we as a wealthy nation could figure out how to spend a tiny amount of money relative to our GDP to fix those pipes. There are rich people who are fighting, you know, and paying to get it all taken care of. But we've successfully been in war for 2 decades. We can't fix our own roads and bridges?
That's how Trump won me over. I remember
Yeah.
the exact moment, and I'd hung out with Noam Chomsky that day in Boston, which is ironic as heck. But I read a quote from him, and he said, we're building schools in Iraq, and it gets blown up. And we build another one, and it gets blown up. And we can't build a school in Brooklyn. At what point do we say we need to focus on America first? And I was like, that You nailed it. I'm voting for you. I bought a Trump hat, and I was like, we're done here. You're my candidate.
You know what it was for me? I was just like, I'm not getting fooled again. In
Yeah.
2016, I'm like, you can say what you want. I don't care. Obama was all the hope and change. Nah. But then, even though I said I didn't want to vote for Trump, he started doing things that made me want to vote for him.
Yeah.
Like Middle Eastern peace deals.
Yeah,
Like,
I've been in politics, and
listen, he could go on Fifth
literally,
Avenue and start saying
like,
every
if your
possible
voting
insult
base
to every
feel that
person
you're doing
walking
things
by.
for you, they'll
He
vote
can
for
call them
you.
all fat pigs. He can spit
People
on the ground
don't
and
hate
stomp on
the
his
idea of
street.
voting for you.
And if he
People
gets
love
Middle Eastern
voting.
peace, I'm going to be like, that's my president.
Mhm.
Yep.
I mean,
nastiest-
North Korea wasn't anything to sneeze at either. Like,
Yeah,
he's done
that
some
was
good
amazing.
work.
People
so
would
nice
have
to him.
not
Reminds
voted
me of,
and
I
then
made a
simply
post
chose
today,
to vote
tweet
for
said,
me simply
someone
because I
tagged
took the
me on
time to say,
Facebook.
hey,
They said,
there's a
remember
vote
when
going
Vice
on
used
that's
to
going to
be
impact your
Vice
future.
media
Do you
was
want to
now
get
the Village
involved?
Voice,
Yeah.
you know, hardcore. And
People
someone
appreciate
tagged me
that
in
you do
it,
that
and
for
the
them.
comment
Some
was
don't
from
give a
someone saying their North Korea
a
coverage was
hoot,
incredible.
but
I actually field produced
doing it is the only thing that you can do
North
towards
Korean
yourself.
motorcycle
Like,
diaries. I didn't
not
go to North
stopping
Korea.
other people
I went to
and
New Zealand
actually
and
doing stuff
interviewed
for
these
people
who had
so that
driven their motorcycles from North
it's
through
weird to
South
say,
Korea.
but well, let's listen to
Those are the
them.
days. Those are the days when you could talk about this effort to go like what they did was I think was a really great thing. But people were critical to an extent because they were like, it's propaganda for the North. But for the most part, we could have that conversation. Under Donald Trump, he walked into North Korea with no security in a dramatic and incredible symbol of trust with the North Koreans. They could have snatched him up and ran away with him.
Yep.
But Trump walked in with no security, and they walked back. And that is the first thing we need. We need a chance. We need trust. And they attacked him for it.
Yeah.
And they still do. And I'm just like...
And
people
how
are
can
saying
the outside world
it's
trust the
another
USA?
effort to show we can trust each other. Because right now, they're pointing guns at each other. Trump walking over there, unarmed, no security. He's saying, we're not fighting, I trust you. And they smiled and they walked him back. What does the media do? Insult him all day and night.
Yeah.
There won't be peace if the media keeps doing this.
That's how they make money, though.
I know.
They're getting crazy traffic right now.
Yep.
If
All
it
right, let's
bleeds,
do,
it leads.
We'll do a couple more super chats, but make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Parler at Timcast. Check out my other YouTube channels. That's youtube.com/Timcast/TimcastNews. This channel is IRL.
Yeah,
and
je
we
fais
have the
pas
podcast
beaucoup de
up
dommages
on
au
all
boss,
podcast
Virgile.
platforms. You can follow Ian.
Boss
Follow me on
are
Instagram,
not
on Twitter,
what
and
I'm
on
focusing
and
my
on
build
Twitch
on.
TV, twitch.tv/IanCrossing.
So at Ian Crossing.
I don't
on
think
all
the
places.
map.
At Ian Crossing everywhere.
At Cassandra Rules.
Yes.
And that's Cassandra, right?
Yep.
I sometimes put an O in there, and I'm like, I don't know how you spell Cassandra's name.
And that's like a double
Well,
entendre.
it's because you
right?
pronounce it right, at least. Most
It's-
people don't pronounce it right.
It's Cassandra, your rules, and you rule.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there was some inside joke when I made it, but it was 8 years ago or something, and
Still
it's not
funny.
relevant to today.
Well,
I'm just
I
not
have to
even
say,
gonna-
I have to interject. We do have a camera for Lydia, but her microphone didn't work, so you can follow at Sour Patch Lids as well, Sour Patch LYDS, because she's here still producing. But
Okay,
the
behind her
mics
when
are
she
good,
shoots
you know,
the
whatever.
javelin.
So,
I have to
we'll get it
relearn
all
the
fixed
boss
by next
fights.
time. We're going to be back at the original studio again tomorrow. And I don't think I'm going to announce who's coming on anymore because we've had 2 cancellations, and I just feel bad for letting people down.
Yeah.
So we'll just have magical people show up, and
You
we'll hang
just
out.
call me whenever, and I'll swing by with some pizza.
Yeah, you should definitely come
hang
down.
out.
Ooh, can't believe I
You write
survived
tons
that.
Of, tons of stories. You know so much about what's going on. Just come on by, and we'll have you here all the time.
It's
So
lagging
let's take a
because of
couple
how
more,
much
super chats then. And also make sure to
processing
subscribe,
power it
smash the like
requires.
button. Nick Lintz says, how many times do we need to see swamp creatures telling lies today that contradict their past lies? Term limits. Why doesn't Trump make this an issue? Majority of both parties support. Doesn't he? Didn't Trump say term limits
I think he
in the
did,
second agenda?
but
Second term agenda?
Yeah, he mentioned
it's
that,
been
I think.
off. Like, I haven't heard any talk
That was
about
part
it.
of his big announcement of like 20 points or something.
Elias the Aquanaut says, Tim, please tell my friend Casey why you were voting Trump as true liberal this year. Love you, man. 3 historic peace agreements. Kosovo, Serbia, Bahrain, Israel, UAE, Israel. I gotta say, man, the idea that these Arabic nations would recognize the existence of Israel is profound. It's incredible. Normalized relations, trade. This
Oh
is how you
no,
begin the
I
process
blinked
of
in
peace
the
and stabilization in the Middle East. Will it hold forever? I don't know. I hope so. But Trump, man, he gets all of my like buttons and all that for all that stuff. Calling out the
There you
riots,
go.
trying to stop the riots. That's big.
There's another one
Whether or
to
not
kill,
he's
of
been successful,
course.
he's the only one standing up against them, while the Democrats, while Joe Biden's staff literally bailed these people out, while Kamala Harris solicited donations for these people. And I think look, there is an element of Joe Biden is really, really dangerous. He reads a teleprompter. He doesn't speak for himself. I have no idea what he's all about or what he wants. Kamala Harris is insane. Kept people in prison beyond their
Not
terms.
too much debt on
for
this
cheap
one.
labor because they didn't want to let him out because they needed someone to fight
83
fire,
times.
fight
Not that
wildfires.
great
I
though,
think
but
that's what it was,
I'm
right?
just playing for fun at this point.
That's slavery. It's like we could. I think they were eligible for parole, and they're like, but wait, don't let him out, because then who will fight the fires for $1 an hour? Yeah, and she's running for office right now, so no.
Dude, when she was up against Biden, was like, it was a debate. She just trashed him in the.
This one is better.
And now she's just smiling and acting like his friend.
They're just all so awful. Look, Trump is no saint. But I think I can put it this way: on paper, we had a great economy. I don't trust Joe Biden to fix the economy. I think
Me neither.
Trump is best.
Neither Kamala Harris.
And he's ending all these wars, or he's ending the wars in the Middle East, bringing our troops back, and they're resisting him. You know what, man? I'll take what I can get. I think what Trump is doing in these capacities are good things. I'm not voting for the lesser of two evils. Part of me is voting against Biden, identitarianism, and this establishment. Like, Joe Biden represents the establishment of 47 years that created the systemic racism these people are complaining about. Trump's been in office for 3.7 years, or not. I mean, something like that. Like, not even 4 years, and they're blaming him for all this stuff. No, look, I'll tell you what, man. At the very least, there's one simple thing. Trump is not the establishment. If he wins again, it will crush and end the establishment, and then, after that, there will be, hopefully, real populist candidates, a new system where people actually are paying attention, and the old guard will finally be gone. This is their last-ditch effort, Joe Biden. It's the best they could muster. Let him lose. Let them walk off into the sunset and walk slowly and blissfully into the ocean and just walk deeper and deeper and then be gone from the rest of us. And then we'll find out ways to move past Trump. But I can't believe people predicate their entire identities on Trump as if the world is going to end because of one guy. The government is more than Trump.
We need better technology. I mean, candidates aside, we need like a technological revolution.
Yeah.
This riding on oil and wiring is not sustainable for much longer.
I agree.
Nuclear energy.
Yeah, of course.
Geothermal.
Geothermal.
Fusion.
Hydroelectrical.
We'll take one more. It's for you, Cassandra. Question for Cassandra. From my understanding, you know Michelle Malkin. Do you think it was wrong for her to be fired by YAF, exiled politically, for refusing condemning Nick Fuentes?
Absolutely.
What happened?
100%.
What I don't know the whole story.
Oh boy.
Well, we don't have too much time.
Nick
so.
Fuentes.
Nick Fuentes,
Love that guy.
Podcaster, YouTube, or I guess he's on DLive now, not YouTube.
Yes,
But
DLive.
he's a
I should
very
go
populist
there.
Nationalist, America First, but he's controversial. He's made some controversial statements. Michelle refused to disavow him, said that she didn't want to disavow anybody. She didn't want to disavow anybody who puts America first or aligns with her on her core issues, which are immigration and, America First, nationalist, populist ideology. And so the young YAF and all these people, they ditched her as a speaker. She'd been speaking there for years. And they were basically like, you're not disavowing this person, so you're bad, you're canceled by. And then they hold like Cancel Con and all these festivals, like pretending that they're against cancel culture, but they don't put their money where their mouth is. And I adore Michelle Malkin, and I will stand with her every day.
Is there really a thing called Cancel Con?
Yeah, it was really bad. It was like a live stream thing. You didn't miss anything.
Well, there you go, I guess. That was the last question we'll take, I guess, because we have to now drive for several
No, the
hours.
only thing I need more is Errol Vash.
Yeah.
I should actually try it.
But then we're gonna come back and the next time
There you go.
We're like 90. I would say based on where we're at so far, it sounds like we're really close to getting everything done. We just need someone to spend a day now troubleshooting, and I thought we were good, but it was yikes.
Up until the last minute.
Once again, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. The show is live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Tomorrow
Oh,
we'll be
no,
live.
so
this time
close.
No problems because we'll be in the original studio, unless some weird thing happens and all of a sudden that studio breaks. I have no idea.
And there will be kitties.
The cats,
They may be
but
on
then
the
the cats
I'll
are coming
be
here. And I don't
more
think we're allowing
prepared
cats into the studio,
this
though.
time around.
It's really funny when the cats jump up on the tables. Do you think that is we should keep the cats?
I'm pretty down with her cats hopping
They
around.
they'll like, it's usually Bucko. He just jumps up on the table and like tries to steal people's water.
I'll have 2 water.
And then you're like fighting with the jar while you're trying to talk and explain
Well,
this
you got to
complex
bring out
issue.
the cats when you have a really important thing that you want people to hear. It's like Banksy said. Banksy painted a cat on a wall in the middle of all this devastation, destruction, and everybody's like, "Why did you paint that cat?" I have it tattooed on me, but
Because people look at it.
he was like, "Because people on the internet only look at cats and porn." Or something like that. And so he painted a cat so people would listen. And I think it's a good strategy to have some cats roaming around.
Sounds good. All right. And
We're using
let them do
something
their
people
thing.
like in order
All
to
right
get
then.
the attention
Well, Cassandra, thanks for hanging
on
out.
something
Thanks for
rather than
having me.
decry
Yeah,
everyone
sorry
for
for
not
rambling.
having.
No way, man. That was awesome.
So the next time,
Taking more care about
we
that.
come up- like usually what I tried to do is have like a bunch of stories from the day that we like go through. But we were so just like everything was broken. I was like, just press record. I don't know. Just go live. We'll just talk. I don't know. Whatever. So, but the next time we'll just like we'll talk about your stories more, and we'll like go through segments and stuff, and then by then Lydia will have a working mic and camera working. You know, so you'll be
Oh,
able
I
to
got
hear
it,
her
but I
and
died
we'll
at the
get through
same
all
time.
issues, but thanks for hanging out, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. We'll have clips up throughout the day, and we will see you all then.
Let's take this moment to make sure I'm not gonna watch some Trump debate. Oh, a
White
new episode of Timpool. I'm gonna share the link in the live stream so people know what they're listening to. It's not Timcast IRL, but close enough.
supremacists are everywhere. They're around every corner. They're in our government. I swear, I was at the Kroger the other day. I went to buy milk, and there was a white supremacist hiding in the milk refrigerator in the back. I swear. He was wearing a Kroger apron, and he was putting milk on the shelves. I kid you not. I'm kidding. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? To claim that white supremacists are around every corner and every institution, and that whiteness is controlling everything. It is crazy. Now, I've expressed before that I think many of these Black Lives Matter and Antifa people are unwell. I'm not saying every single one, but many of them. That's why they go around smashing things and burning things down that seemingly do not help their cause. I mean, if they really wanted to win, they wouldn't be burning everything down when it's hurting Joe Biden. Now, I know many of these people don't like Joe Biden, but they prefer him over Trump. So why embolden Trump by proving Trump right? It's because they're unwell. It's because they literally think everyone's a Nazi, everyone's a fascist, and everyone's a white
They'd rather
supremacist.
support
But I
QT
think
than
what we're really
prove the
seeing
right
is
wrong.
that these people are suffering from a paranoid delusion. Something else I've mentioned in the past, that it is a paranoid delusional state among many of these leftists to claim the whole world is dominated by white supremacy. Well, Jonathan Kay for Quillette hit the nail on the head with the hammer. Check out this tweet. He says, "For defund CBC fans, this is gold. Anti-police activist had her car broken into. On no evidence, she claims a white supremacist conspiracy. And CBC News breathlessly reports this as fact. But there's actually another story here which CBC missed. There's a well-known conspiracy theory genre called gang stalking, whereby people view every act as a sign of systemic hatred." He says, Cyan Wilson, Twitter thread, shows how easily Black Lives Matter critical race theory can be co-opted into generic gang stalking conspiracism. I saw this, and then I realized, whoa, Jonathan, you're right. This explains everything. If you're not familiar with gang stalking, there are people who believe that agents or operatives are spying on them. I'm sad to say that I know some people who have suffered from something similar. And it really does explain a lot of what Antifa and Black Lives Matter is. In a previous segment talking about the wildfires, a lot of people were claiming, Antifa was going around and burning things, and that's just not true. There was one leftist, started a fire. We don't know what his motivation was. The other arson, we have no idea. But what I pointed out was that I think what we see is that Antifa and Black Lives Matter extremists weaponize the people who are unwell, quite like the Joker in The Dark Knight. So you may remember that scene where Harvey Two-Face, he kidnaps this guy who tried to shoot, Commissioner Gordon. And Batman shows up and says, what do you expect to get out of this guy? He's a paranoid schizophrenic. The Joker preys on people like this. And that's exactly what this story is. Black community leaders speak out about intimidation and harassment in Waterloo region. Incidents have left leaders worried about their safety. If someone came to you and said that government agents were spying on them, you'd be like, no.
All right, I think I'm gonna break here. I'm gonna go play with my friends who just started playing. I guess if he answers, I shouldn't be. But I've been streaming for almost 3 hours now, which is great. Hey, Tyler Watson, welcome to the show. Thanks for the comment. I have very few little feedback with my audience. It's nice to have them leave comment other than weird link to weird things in the comments. Hey, wait, I said I wouldn't go further, especially since Mike came on. All right, actually, I could still play with him. Let's go in the chat. And exit to character selection. Haste League. S. Invite to party. Hello. No, I heard you.
Hey.
Oh, you are loud.
Oh.
Oh, it's fine. I just tuned down your volume a bit. All right, let's go.
Very based.
I should actually change the episodes here, just to keep my main character on the same episode, or at least just give me a. I'll put the end stream insignia for a few seconds and then go back to the live stream. So when I'll edit the video, I'll have a point to where skip for the episodes where I level up on myself and where I play on these episodes. I'm gonna use this time to take a drink. Stay hydrated, friends. All right, back to Path of Exile. So this is a different character where I play a Templar and you play a witch. I am not sure what I'm gonna do, but I was thinking of going on to melee lightning. I have a few quests that I have to do and come back here and do with my main character, so I'll probably switch onto the main character when I'll have something to do here. If you don't mind.
I kind of didn't listen, but okay.
Oh, on my main character, there's a quest we're gonna be doing soon. Did you not accept my party invite?
No, not yet. I'm choosing between some kind of rewards.
Oh, it's fine. I was just wondering why it was not working, but that's fine. I have a few things in my stash for you if you want.
For a witch?
Yeah, I'm building a witch on my main character. And also I have some items. Some you might be able to use, some you might not. Oh, this is going to be useful for me.
Which should I go with the mana flask or the life flask?
Is there another weird flask named the Quicksilver flask?
Yes, there's a Quicksilver one.
Take that. That's a movement speed flask.
Okay. Oh, I can pick.
If you find an item that has all the links you want, but is white, I have some item to upgrade them. I have they're called the Essence, and they transform it from white to yellow and give them additional stats. Pretty good. Pretty good. Otherwise, that I want to equip. 5, 8, and everything. 10% of mental damage. Yeah, that's still better. That's still bad. The rest I sell. All right, identification scroll. Also, I can give you some identification scroll. I have like 40 of tons of them, and I can give you some teleportation scroll as well. Which are useful. And I can give you some currency if you need some. There we go. Where are you? I don't even see your face. Oh, yeah, it's because you didn't accept the party invite. Why did I come here? Oh, yeah, that's actually where we stopped last time. Oh, I feel so sluggish. No, no, no. You have Smite. You have Spark. Then you have Ground Slam. Good. Hey, you joined my party. I don't know if you muted yourself, Mike, but I cannot hear you anymore.
Yeah, I did.
Ha! That's why being two is good, because when you screw something up, there's someone to notice it.
Yeah. Hold on. Scroll of Wisdom. Eh.
I can give you some Scroll of Wisdom and some Portal Scroll.
Okay. Orb of Alteration.
Oh,
Recharges the. Oh.
yeah,
What is
basically
that?
in this game, the currencies are things that increase your items. So you use your money to make your item better. So currency has real value.
Very nice.
Very nice indeed. So the Orb of Transformation transform an item from white to blue, right? From
Yeah, I
normal
guess.
to magic. And then the other one, the Orb of Alteration, refresh what stats your item have, and the Orb of Transformation had a second effect to a magic item. I suggest you keep them for later on. The things that transform item into blue, you can use them right now because blue items will start sucking within the next 5 level. But anything that transforms to yellow, I suggest you wait because that currency is as useful when you're level 99 than it is useful than when you're level 1. Or at least it is more because when you get into the late game, your item is more important than your build almost. So making sure that when you find that sweet 6-link item, you're able to transform it from white to yellow and make sure it will be good.
Cool.
I guess I should call this game tutorial to the Path of Exile with Mike. By the way, I'm
Not
waiting
alright.
for you in the mud flat.
Oh yeah, I'm picking the quest for that place actually. Enter the mud flats and then enter the fetid pool and kill all the monsters there.
Fitted pool will skip because the fitted pool is useless quest. You have to kill all the monster in an area and you get a respect point. If you just go after that, there's another quest that when you do it, you gain an extra point instead of being able to reallocate one.
Mm-hmm.
More life, more mana. Oh, hey.
Okay. Hey, I just left.
No, the you see my indicator on the left?
Yeah.
Click on the blue icon
Oh.
and it will teleport you to me immediately.
Yep. I'm here, big boy. Behind you. Hold
There's a website that I don't remember the name at the moment that I'll have to share with you later on, where you can look at the meta of the season and
on. Uh-huh.
and there's a PoE Wikipedia where you can go read on mechanics that are not described within the game.
Oh.
Like they will say, "Oh, makes target bleed." Okay, but what is bleeding? Uh, So basically, in this game, you have 5 elements, or uh, how should I call it? Source of damage. Yes, you have physical, lightning, ice, fire, and chaos. Physical
Very
damage cause bleeding. Frost damage cause frost and frozen. Fire damage cause burning and I think it caused another thing, but I'm not sure. And lightning cause shock, chaos cause poison. Some ailments like bleeding and burning and poison are considered as DOT, where shock, frozen, and frost doesn't count as DOT. They are non-damaging ailments in mechanic terms. You follow me so far?
kinda.
Oh, you have to pick up an item here.
Okay. I see. I don't know where you are. Oh, small life.
If you press tab, you have a better map popping up.
Oh, yeah, I see. Oh, you're up there. Okie dokie.
And on the small map, you have an arrow indicating where your allies are, in which general direction, I mean.
There's a chest. Simple robe.
But it's tree linked, which is good for a level. Um, did I tell you about the vendor recipe? Receipt? Recipe.
No.
Okay. Some items are worth more to the vendor than others. If you go to a vendor and sell an item like you see this goat hide buckler on the ground with a red, green, and blue socket link,
Yeah.
take it. When you sell an item with the tree color linked to a vendor, it gives you the changing color of the socket currency, which is called a chromatic orb. So instead of being worth a piece of a currency, when it has this exact combination, it is worth a greater currency. It's because you'll always need to change the color on the socket. Like you find a 6 sweet link item on the ground, but the 6 link are 5 blue and 1 green, and you need a 6 blue. So you're gonna use those currency until you get the item you want. So this kind of currency keeps its value, especially in the trade with other players. Because yes, you can trade with other players, which create its own inner economy.
Very nice.
So those are the kind of item you want to pick up. If you can sell a yellow item of every slot, meaning 5 potion, 2 ring, belt, glove, boot, armor, weapon, shield, and helm, or 2 weapons, you'll get an extra value out of your set. Hello. Okay. Mike went silent for a moment. Probably something happened IRL. Aha, here's the boss. Ooze back Bloom, and I have so much health that I can simply face tank him. Bloop, bloop. There you go. Rogue markers. Boop. I like this build so far, but it's early game. Could be terrible in the end. So the waterfall ain't here. Oh, scare mask, just as I was talking about. Let's put some volume back. I don't put the monsters in attack noise because most often they're more annoying than giving a good feeling to the game. It can be useful to hear what's happening around, like, oh, I hear that monster in the distance, but I feel it creates a weird sound. Alright, to the submerged passage. To the waypoint, back to town. Vigilant Strike, Ancestral Protector, Holy Flame Totem, Holy Relic, Frost Bomb, Flame Wall. Flame Wall sounds interesting, but I think the Ancestral Protector is where I'll go. Since I want to build tank Frostblink or Steel Skin. Oof. Gonna go with Frostblink. Hello!
Hey, I'm sorry, I had a small family reunion in my room.
Oh, it's fine. I guessed that was you had something going on. I found the exit to the zone we were. I am getting out of the next place, so you can see where I am. If you've picked all 3 items, you can come here and drop them.
I did not pick all 3. I have only 2.
Then
And I have the last one.
follow in between the nest. There are some like lines on the ground that leads you to the next nest.
Yeah, I
So
got all 3 things. I saw it on the minimap.
yeah, because I had opened it. Once it's on the ground, your partners can see it. Oh my god, my vest is making me so warm. But exactly under my arms, like my armpits are plus 25 degrees, and the rest of my body is like at 10.
Submerged passage.
Yes. And there'll be a waypoint straight up.
For me, it's straight down, but okay.
You can go
Wait
back
for
to
it.
town because you'll win some new items and such.
Should I go there?
Yeah, you'll finish a quest which will give you 2 round of gem, 1 movement, 1. You should take Flame Dash if you can't, otherwise take any movement based gem reward. And I'm gonna come back with my other character. Because the submerged passage I did not do. with my other character, and it gives you in the free character a passive point, which I want.
Ooh.
And it also will allow you to see what it looks like when you're at the end game or closer to the end game. I'm at the final act, I think.
It would seem I have to kill some things. Okay. Flame wall, contagion. Summon raging spirit.
Oh, that's a funny spell, especially if you want to go summoning.
I
Because
kind of want to, yeah.
the oh, someone poked me on Steam.
Orb of storms. Cool. I think I will go with the raging spirit.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
Can I like unsocket items? Probably
Yeah,
not.
right click on the gem.
Oh sure, you can.
Yeah,
That's based.
yeah, it is. What you think?
Oh,
This game
goodness.
would make some rookie mistake when it's been out since 2013?
Okay, what is this? Frostblink. Spell movement
Oh
duration.
yeah,
Frostblink.
it's
Oh,
not the
nice.
best, but it's the best you can have right now. Frostblink works that it makes a small frost nova where you leave and where you go. And the more enemies you hit and the greater the status of the enemy you hit, the more damage you're gonna the more cooldown you get back on the spell, allowing you to get more mobility while dashing through group of enemy.
Cool. A dirty job. Park Leaf wants you to clear the fetid pool of all undead and any other monsters. Search the mudflies for the entrance to the fetid pool. Dweller of the Deep. Okay, cool. So what are we gonna do now?
We're gonna go kill the Dweller of the Deep.
I'm going to teleport to you.
Yes. Alright, so this is my Lightning Witch.
Cool.
I have more move speed because I invested in that. I have a few summoning as well. Take all the rogues marker you can, it's the currency for the season event. And seasoned events are very OP. Bloop. Hey, Orb of Chance. Sweet. Armor Scrap, Scroll of Wisdom.
Orb of Transmutation.
Alright. My friend is there to stream something else that we were supposed to stream yesterday, so I'm gonna finish what we're doing there, and I'm sadly gonna have to leave.
That's fine.
But at least I'm gonna walk you back here, give you a bit of item, so if you keep on going on a bit.
The lightning in this game is based.
Yeah, it is. And you know what's the best part about lightning? You remember when I talked about ailment before and the shock one? I
Yeah.
didn't mention what shock do, right? Shock basically gives a micro stun, like a 0.1 second stun, which is very based because it interrupts enemy and can stagger them if you shock them often enough. And also increase the damage the enemy will take by a certain percentage depending on how much damage you did to him compared to his total health. So if he has 100 health and you do 50 or more damage, you're going to increase the damage he takes by 50%. Or it doesn't work exactly like that, but it's something like that. You basically increase the damage you do to the enemy every time you shock them. And therefore, and that debuff stacks 50 times. So even if the first debuff is like, oh, we took the wrong exit, by the way.
Doesn't matter.
No, it does, because I don't need to do this part. I need to do the other part. And so do you. But that's fine. Let's keep going until we hit the waypoint, and we'll take the waypoint back to the cavern, and from there we'll find the other exit. Sweeps.
I mean, there's chest here.
I made it to the waypoint.
Oh. Hold on, which exit? If you
Whoa,
just
whoa,
kept
whoa,
on
whoa,
going
whoa.
forward.
What, sorry? Yeah, just go forward. It's gonna be in the middle of the path. Go back to town and I'll open a portal so you can come right to where I'll be.
Oh yeah, I see, I see, I see, I see.
Oh, I found the entrance to the deep cavern.
Cool.
Go back to town and take my town portal. It's gonna be quicker.
Okay. I'm at the town.
Just go down the stairs to the left on the beach and there should be the entrance to the town portals. And you should see my town portal.
Oh yeah, I see. I'm here.
There's a door right by the town portal. I should have put it right where I am. Actually, you could have just teleported on me because I changed zone. That would have been the simplest way. I am dumb.
Flooded depths.
Yes, and here we have to kill the Dweller of the Deep, which I didn't do when I played first time around with Virgil, saying we'd come back when we'd have more movement speed, and we never did. So, haha, there you go, Virgil. I'm doing it without you. And I have more movement speed, so I'm keeping my promise. No, I think it's
Bruh.
gonna be this way. And beside,
Yep.
I have all the movement speed I could wish. Nope, wrong way. Go back.
Bruh.
See how Flame Dash is OP? Because it's as quick as Cold Dash, but you have 3 charge. And it leaves a burning ground during your... Oh, here it is. Curse, mark, die. Curse, die. And there we go. You can take everything. Here's a waypoint. Careful, the things coming out from the side will kill you and they're invulnerable. And once you're back in town, you go talk to Tarley, which will give you the extra skill point I so desire.
Very based.
And more lightning damage, and more chance to shock, and more no. No, I should have taken static blows. No. It's okay, I'll take it anyway. Alright, so sadly, I'm gonna have to leave there if I want some chance to stream some Satisfactory today.
That is fine.
So, thanks for joining in. I'm probably gonna stream
Yeah.
tomorrow as well, but we could do some Warframe instead.
I will have much time.
Oh, alright then. Another time.
No.
It's fine.
Okie dokie.